So this video essay by Turkey Tom has been on my radar for a while. It's the Daniel Larson video essay that has been uploaded almost 2 weeks ago. I've just had it on the back burner for a while and never got around to it, but today I decided, fuck it, let's just finally do it. We'll sit down and finally react to this because I'm curious. Daniel Larson, for those of you guys who don't know, he's a guy who's in the IDD community. He has intellectual and developmental disabilities. He was a guy on TikTok who was, he had a crush on this person. I think they were from American Idol or something like that. I forget where they were from, but their name was Grace Vanderwall. And, obviously the age gap is very inappropriate, I would say. I think it was like Daniel Larson was 22 while he was thirsting over Grace Vanderwall while she was 17. So that's like a 5-year age gap, which is very, very inappropriate. Again, Daniel Larson may not be operating at the mental capacity of a 22-year-old. I mean, that doesn't make it okay, but still. Not to mention, he was just, like, very, very creepy to her on his TikToks, but a lot of people would use that to troll him, to say, hey, Grace Vanderwall's here and stuff. There is a weird sub-community on TikTok of people who just bully people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and it's very strange. But I guess without further ado, let's just watch this video by Turkey Tom. I've had mixed feelings on Turkey Tom over the years. Like, there are times where he's good, there are times where he isn't. I have overall mixed feelings on Turkey Tom, but, you know, this video interested me, so let's watch. I have it at 1.5 times speed this time around.
While there's no shortage of reasons for Daniel Larson to be put behind bars,
I sent unsolicited pictures of myself to Grace when she was a minor and to other minors.
Damn, that's tough, Daniel. That's a tough thing to admit to.
The actual reason for his charges can be roughly placed at the beginning of 2024. On the 8th of January, he posted this to his YouTube channel.
If I don't get the documentation proving that I'm trespassed, it's all fake.
This video was actually uploaded twice, under the titles Hotel Security claiming that I am trespassed without legal proof or paperwork by law enforcement.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, Daniel Larson would constantly get, like, involved in these situations. I remember watching the Olive Garden situation and the Panera Bread situation where he would just go to these places. He would dine and dash a lot. He would just do, like, all sorts of things that, like, really just, like, no normal person should be doing. My opinion is that Daniel Larson just needs to be locked up. He is very obviously a danger to himself and to people around him. He needs to be under, like, extreme supervision at all times. I don't think he can, function normally in society, as a person, with the way he is.
And Daniel Larson getting threatened and harassed by hotel security at Denver International Airport. Given his propensity to go to places like airports and malls to sleep or score some food, they're the most likely cause of this minor incident. The only additional information about the lead up to this was text posts on his TikTok where he claimed to be working with the FBI against his trolls, and that he had $600 stolen from him. Although he was
I mean, most of these are obviously lies.
Officially booked the same day, it doesn't look like he was kept in custody for any significant amount of time, meaning he was let go with a warning. A warning that he didn't listen to, as on the very next day, he went right back to the airport so that he could go to the Canvas Credit Union to see about his bank account being drained by...
Oh, this was before he, like, got, like, imprisoned for the last time for the bomb threats, back in, I think it was April 2024, I believe. Yeah, I mean... Like I said, I think Daniel Larson just doesn't. He needs, whether it's in, like, prison or, like, an institute or something, like, Daniel Larson just needs to be locked up. He needs to be away from society. He cannot function as a normal member of society.
ELR Records and Entertainment. As you can see, the initially claimed $600 turns into $950 in a single day. How violent are these interest rates on Danderson? In reality, this is the same fake banking app he's always used to make this kind of post. But usually, it's to get people's sympathy and donations. This time, it seems like he actually tricked himself into thinking he was getting his real bank account drained, which led him back to the airport where he'd already been threatened with being trespassed, like a moth to a flame. The only archive of the live stream he did on the 9th comes from the YouTube channel Larsonian Institute, which gave context for the...
Oh my god, this is obviously a troll channel. There's so many people that are dedicated to trolling him. I really think people needed to, like, stop trolling him as well. That's another thing. It's like people were constantly trolling him and because he had a disability. And like I said, there's a weird sub-community on TikTok of people that just troll people because they have disabilities. Unfortunately, there are snark Reddits because of that as well. And someone took their own life. The Save the Fox person or Save a Fox person took their own life because they had a fucking snark Reddit dedicated to just bullying people.
footage in the description. At approximately 4 p.m., Daniel was at the Canvas Credit Union inside the Denver International Airport, claiming that his original intent was to get a debit card. During the live stream on TikTok, there were 3 people visible. Daniel was seated in a chair, charging his phone and streaming, while a police officer was standing before him, along with airport security and a female who appeared to be working for the bank. Earlier in the stream, Daniel says multiple times, "I'd be more than happy to just leave," and the officer claims that he was already asked multiple times to leave and didn't comply. During the interaction, Daniel mentions his probation, and it's discussed that the officer will tell Daniel's probation officer what will happen. It is not known why the police were involved in the incident. From the footage of the live stream, Daniel surrendered and ended the live after the officer asked him to stand up. Meanwhile, if you take a look at the footage itself, we find out just how bad Daniel's legal situation already was at this point.
So in addition to the 2 warrants...
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Daniel Larson was already arrested, like, several times leading up to this point, and he's already, like, had several altercations with the police, so... Yeah, I mean, he's already, like, not in a great spot.
I'm going to take you on today. You have 3 additional warrants that are not extraditable out of Denver that you need to go take care of.
I am aware.
Okay, so that's 5.
And then I was also, like I said, I came here to the Canvas Credit Union because I had
I'm going
to.
to tell you that's not going to fly today. Airport office is going to explain that to you, so we can quit going over that piece of information.
While the airport security officer later mentions that Daniel won't be charged with trespassing for having gone to the bank without a boarding pass, the police officer mentioned a total of 5 warrants on Daniel that aren't extraditable out of Denver, meaning his presence in an airport could indicate a flight.
That's crazy. Like I said, I feel like that's a sign that, like, Daniel Larson just needs to, like, stay away from society. Also, like, people were, like, the reason why his hair is shaved like this is because, like, there was some random person that went up to him. I think they were, like, stream sniping Daniel in real life. And they just shaved, like, the middle of his head, and they gave him, like, a reverse mohawk. It's, like, dude, it's fucking insane. You got, like, people need to, like, stop trolling him as well. Like, that's another thing. Like, I feel like they are also problematic.
Interestingly enough, Daniel is only acting calm during this stream because he eventually uploaded a few videos of the moments preceding it where he was arguing and trying to justify him being there to the officer.
I just did business here.
Sir.
I'm waiting.
No, you have a boarding pass.
What?
You have a boarding pass.
I was at the Canvas
No,
Credit Union.
sir.
I don't
Okay.
know why you are treating me this way. I went to Canvas Credit Union.
You have ID on you?
I do,
I can see it, please.
but I don't
It's
need
not a
it.
request.
I would be
It's
more
where
than
we're at.
happy to leave. I'm not
I
past
asked you that already.
security.
I asked you that already. Okay? And you chose not to. So we're going to advise you on trespass.
I don't need a trespass. Like, this is straight up harassment. I would be more than happy to just leave.
We'll address that here in a minute, but along with some other business.
But I did come from Boulder, Colorado,
Okay.
because I had another appointment, and then I
Where
went.
was that at?
I'm not obligated to say.
No, you're not. But was it here?
And then I came
Was it
here. No. And then I have another meeting tomorrow back in Boulder.
I wonder if Turkey Tom is going to bring up the Olive Garden encounter. That one was the one that, like, kind of shocked me the most. The one where he fucking pulls the fire alarm and then pretends that he's, like, an FBI agent. That shit was insane.
With my probation.
You're on probation.
I'm not obligated to
Actually,
say.
you are. It's part of the conditions of your probation.
I am on probation for trespass
Well,
from
Crazy.
a different location
Okay.
for a misunderstanding.
okay.
As the officer calls it in, he mentions that they were in the airport's chapel and not the credit union, meaning Daniel probably hurried to the chapel when he saw the officer coming for him in an attempt to hide. When this didn't work, he started telling the officer that he was on his way to court anyway, which, if it's not already clear, is an absolute lie. If he's on his way to court, why is he at the airport? It's funny how he randomly rats himself out for being on probation for trespassing while he's trying to convince this cop that he wasn't trespassing this time. Following the incident, Daniel's record in Denver included 2 offenses: failure to appear in court and destruction of private property, with a court date scheduled for late January.
It's not surprising that he failed to appear in court. He probably just, like, didn't even remember, or, like, didn't even care to remember. I don't know. Again, the fact that Daniel is kind of just, like, he roams and wanders without any meaningful guidance or whatever, it really is, to me, it's amazing that Daniel Larson hasn't been, like, permanently locked up until, like, April 2024, that he was able to get away with it for so long. It really, like, is amazing.
Bond here is listed at being $500, but it appears he was released on a personal recognizance bond, which is when a defendant is trusted and expected to appear in court and abide by whatever bond conditions are offered. I think anyone remotely familiar with Daniel can attest to this being a terrible mistake.
My inspiration behind this haircut, I wanted it to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay. Oh my god. Even though I'm pretty sure someone else shaved his hair for him.
Got struck by lightning.
Again, I don't think he's intentionally lying here. I think it's just another one of those. I mean, you have to remember that, like, he is someone who has an intellectual and developmental disability, so you have to take a different angle at it. But so I don't think he's, like, intentionally lying here. He's probably just, like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like, sometimes people with intellectual and developmental disabilities will, like, say anything. It's hard to describe. I'm not, like, trying to sound ableist or whatever, but it's like they usually will just, like, they'll say a lot of stuff that they don't actually mean, like, whether it's, like, being silly or if they'll just, like, say it for the sake of saying it. I don't know. It's hard to describe. I don't know if it's, like, a tick or anything.
just like Albert Einstein.
After his release, Daniel immediately took to social media to try and recontextualize what happened, making himself look like the victim
That hot dog looks so fucking disgusting. Holy shit, that looks so gross.
of persecution. During the stream, the officer informed
It looks like someone took a shit and then they like flattened it or like rolled it up neatly to make it look like a piece of Play-Doh, and then they just put it on a bun. It looks so disgusting.
Daniel that the reason they knew he was holed up in the chapel was because another guy in the chapel had flagged him. You can imagine how easy it must have been to notice a stinking and unkept Daniel Larson trying to hide from the police in the same room as you. In an attempt to get revenge on this guy, he secretly recorded a video of him and uploaded it under the title, "This crazy mentally ill person called the police on me and got me trespassed and arrested today." In the video, the guy seems to exhibit some Tourette's tics, which may be why Daniel described him that way. A few days later, Daniel made a flurry of posts to his YouTube to update his loyal following on his legal status.
I missed Boulder County probation today because I'm out of money from getting arrested at Denver International Airport. I have showed my pay stubs to my probation officers and my case manager out of CU Boulder. I had to turn myself in last week to Denver Police for my warrant from 2020. The Denver County Police Department is aware of my warrants out of California and New York, Manhattan. I am now being told that they are aware of me not paying my taxes and will keep an eye on how much on the Denver County Police Department.
Jesus Christ. It's like, how many times can you have charges placed on Daniel and arrest him? How many times can you do this to him? Well, it's kind of crazy to me. How many times can you charge him and arrest him for all these different things and he's still not like permanently locked up? And I'm not saying like Daniel Larson is inherently a malicious guy, but he is. I do think he is someone who cannot function as a normal member in society. Like, he definitely just needs to be locked up.
Is now trying to frame me and claiming that I am a burglar when nothing has ever happened. I'm being told by law enforcement and probation, no more excuses, housing or jail. The courts are claiming that Grace Vanderwall needs to come to Colorado to the courtroom if she has an issue with anything.
I like how his arrest due to
Grace Vanderwall needs to come? Do we even believe that?
trespassing suddenly morphs into him turning himself in halfway through his uploads, and he just has to conclude it by trying to get Grace Vanderwall to show up in court. Some things never change.
Grace.
I was about to say, there's no way that's real. There's no way he's telling the truth there.
Ended up having sex with Jacob Sartorius, and Grace is now pregnant.
I gave you my...
So stupid. Oh my god. Oh, it's so dumb. Not Daniel, I'm not trying to sound ableist, just to be clear. It's just like the idea, like what he said was so dumb.
Claimed that his arrest caused him to miss his probation appointments, which could be him preemptively coming up with excuses for his inevitable capture due to probation violations, rather than missed appointments. His court date was set for the 23rd of that month. Care to guess what our boy was up to that day?
I am doing a fan meetup today at the Aurora Mall. $20 for unlimited pictures.
Most of his uploads
$20 for unlimited pictures. We'll see how that's gonna go for him.
from this day are recorded and posted from this mall, where he announces that he'd started college the day before, which is part of an elaborate ruse conducted by trolls who got on Zoom calls with him and just gave him fake information.
Now, the first king of ancient Texas, his name was Ashid Anfarad, and he was the first king. Now, that's important to remember because that will be on one of the quizzes that we have next week. All right, so if you need to take a screenshot.
Oh my god. You guys have to stop trolling Daniel. It's really insane how people made up like these elaborate methods just to troll Daniel. It's fucking insane.
Of my presentation.
I think I saw this guy at a museum one time.
He invented the Caesar salad. He was the first leader of the United Nations.
Julius Caesar. Oh my god.
And he was the first person in the world to use pronouns. All right.
First person in the world to use pronouns. Dude, what the fuck, man?
Julius Caesar was addicted to nicotine, and he eventually banished all nicotine and nicotine users to Mexico.
Given that Daniel posted pictures of multiple plates of food, he was either with someone that day who paid for the meal, who may be these guys, or he was committing the crime of dine and dashing on the same day he was supposed to attend court. His criminal
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Daniel Larson definitely dined and dashed a lot. Also, what the fuck is this picture of Daniel Larson on a rapper? This isn't... You guys are insane.
behavior also seems to have altered the course of his music career, marking his transition from pop to gritty gangster rap.
I have 2 rap songs dropping by March 2024. Don't ever think about dropping a song the same day I drop my music. You will get wiped out financially.
A few
You will get wiped out financially. You got it, Daniel. Damn, I will be sure not to compete against you. I'm no match for you, surely.
weeks passed by before he saw any sign of trouble, until suddenly, as he streamed in the early morning of February 3rd, he seemed pretty rattled.
I might have to go on lockdown. I don't know what the that car was doing. That's the 3rd time I've seen the same police officer follow me. Not like they can do anything. They're not after me. I haven't done anything. So they can't legally do anything.
He tried to calm himself down a bit by talking about what he was going to get for lunch and discussing how college students, whom he refers to as teenagers, were just getting out of class and were causing a ruckus in his area.
Fridays and weekends are terrible. Summer break is good, winter break is good, as long as it's not snowing.
This attempt was not working, as Daniel could be heard breathing heavily and walking faster, exhibiting clear signs of paranoia. Meanwhile, his bird of prey-like eyes darted all around. The one thing that his paranoia didn't seem to affect was his delusions, which remained as strong as ever.
I still need to also come up with $700 starting tomorrow, next week, in the hotel. Well, I have class in an hour.
Yeah, I remember when he would like do live streams on TikTok specifically. I'm pretty sure like some trolls set up like a payment process to where any donation Daniel Larson got would just go back to the people that were trolling him, which was, it's really fucked up. They were like legitimately stealing money from Daniel Larson. He didn't even know about it. Really fucked up. I mean, like I said, I think the trolls in this story are pretty bad too. Like, they're not good people in this story either. Not excusing anything that Daniel Larson has done necessarily. Like, obviously Daniel Larson's also done a lot of bad stuff, but like I said, I do think Daniel Larson, he just needs to be locked up. Hopefully he stays. I hope, like, because in the April 2024 lockup, I heard that he's, like, still locked up even to this day. Hopefully he stays locked up, I'm hoping, because if he ever gets released, there's no way he's going to function as a normal member in society. He's going to do the same shit again.
Class, but I don't have the music for it because they wanted me to use BandLab, and
So Jeffrey Epstein is in the chat. What the fuck?
they're not going to go over how to make the song in the class. They just say, oh, here, use this platform, do it. I'm getting so many gifts in this live stream, I might as well get an apartment tomorrow.
The gifts he got during the stream amounted to about $500 if his count is to be trusted. But still, that's not enough for an apartment. So what Daniel is probably trying to say is that he wants to spend it all on an expensive hotel room and then go back to being homeless 2 days later, stealing food and electricity from a mall. As the stream goes on, he complains about not having music production know-how and claims that Clark should learn and do it for him. For those of you who haven't seen the previous videos, ever since Daniel has had an online presence, he's always maintained a delusion that he's a successful singer-songwriter. And one of the ways trolls found to successfully capture his attention is to present themselves as a record label representative or manager. Clark
So fucking... Dude, you guys, like, people really need to stop trolling him.
was the last person to play the role of Daniel's manager, mostly during the year of 2023. And he was particularly infamous for mindlessly enabling Daniel. After complaining about him, Daniel
Of course.
follows up with the announcement he will be running for UCLA government.
It is true, I am running for the UCLA government, and the elections are today. I did find out where the drones were coming from, so UCLA is working with the Chinese government. I was being told that people are being followed by the Chinese government on and off campus. And also there...
Did your FBI source tell you that, Mr. Larson? Mr. Special Agent Larson?
There is no drone, so stop talking about the drones.
It's funny that the people in the chat keep talking about drones to try and make him even more paranoid. Later on, he announces that he will be purposely violating his probation.
Oh my god, of course. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. I also think Daniel Larson shouldn't have any internet access either, because these trolls are certainly not doing him any favors either. And again, I'm not saying that makes what he does okay, but it's like people are heavily encouraging his behavior, and he's gonna definitely do that because, again, he is part of the IDD community.
I'm gonna be possibly in a new movie, so I'm gonna be traveling, whether the probation allows it or not. I've already been accepted. It's not like I can just quit that job.
As he grows increasingly concerned about being followed, he basically starts stimming about his manager, Clark, Bob, and Tina, and Grace Vanderwall, blaming them for his life being messed up and him being homeless.
Who the fuck are the rest of those people? I know Grace Vanderwall, and I guess Clark I kind of knew about, but, like, who are the other two people?
Realize that some of you guys may not know who any of these people are, so I'll explain them as quick as I can.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turkey Tom. I appreciate that.
Besides Clark, whom we've already introduced, we have Bob, a longtime patron of Daniel, who basically adopted the role of his caretaker after his family could no longer handle him. His
Oh god, that must be like a terrible... that must be a terrible role to have.
presence in Daniel's life can be summarized in him occasionally sending Daniel some money, which he always spends all at once in stupid ways. And whenever
Yeah, of course.
Daniel gets arrested, Bob is the one who bails him out and sets him up with a new phone, which restarts the Larson cycle. And I can't forget to mention that Daniel's only way of repaying him for these acts of charity is by blaming him for not helping enough and gaslighting him, which sometimes evolves to outright physical violence.
Calling the police.
What the fuck is happening?
No, you're not helping me. You're not helping.
You're hitting me.
But you're not helping me. The motel threatened to kill me.
We also have Grace Vanderwall, a singer among many other teen and preteen stars that Daniel was obsessed with when he started posting online, and Tina Vanderwall, Grace's mother. While the trolls pretended to
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
be pretty much everybody Daniel was infatuated with, for whatever reason, Grace was the one he latched onto the most, as he believed that she was genuinely dating him and was going to buy him a house and go on a world tour with him. But
Oh my god. God. Oh, man.
before I go any further in this video, I have to sell things. This video is brought to you by the Turkey Tom Shaker Cup, available for a limited time only. This is actually my first time being outside ever, because outside of this, I spend a lot of time locked in on the computer, and you know I gotta have my caffeine. And what
Yeah, we're all so terminally online. Hell yeah.
Better way to do it than with this cup and its epic design. It's got the Guno meter right here, so as it fills up, you can see the different tiers. It's dangerous, it's dark, it might get you put on a watch list. So that's fine, because the federal government actually can't legally take away your GamerSupps cup. This is true, it's verified by true American patriots, and if they do take it away from you, you can personally call Donald Trump and have him get you out of jail. Not to mention, GamerSupps has 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and less than 1 calorie. Can you believe it? GamerSupps is also cheaper than energy drinks and soda, and there's no crash from this delicious,
Gotta tune into that Turkey Tom sponsorship, of course.
absolutely tasty meal. So use code TOM for 10% off right now at GamerSupps.gg. I repeat, code TOM. A link in the description to get this epic new shaker cup. You're gonna want it, you're gonna need it. Get it before it's gone. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. All right.
Hell yes. Thank you, Turkey Tom, for that sponsor. Very cool.
So back to the stream we were talking about before. Eventually, you can hear sirens in the background, which sends Daniel into an even deeper state of paranoia as he argues with his chat.
The cops are not coming, guys. LOL.
Just a few minutes before the stream was abruptly ended, Daniel walked into some sort of open establishment and suddenly started loudly talking about World of T-Shirts, Joshua Block, saying he got really drunk.
Oh yeah, Joshua Block. Yeah, me personally, I don't think Joshua Block is inherently... I don't think he's as bad as Daniel Larson. Obviously, Joshua Block still is like kind of a lolcow, and he's still kind of, you know, I mean, he is part of the IDD community as well, and people are still very weird to Joshua Block. People are still very, like, I remember watching Papa Gut react to this short of Joshua Block going to, like, an airport, and someone literally bought an airport ticket just to meet Joshua Block in person, just so he could sign something and then record him on video. It's like, I'm sorry, like, trolling people to this degree, in my opinion, is still parasocial behavior. It's very, very strange. I don't think Joshua Block is as much of a threat to society as Daniel Larson is. Daniel Larson, in my opinion, again, I've said it throughout this video, he just needs to be locked up. But Joshua Block, I think Joshua Block can exist fine in society, even if some of the stuff he does is not really okay. I don't think he's as much of a danger as Daniel Larson is.
And violated court. As insane as it is, I think this was an impromptu attempt to frame Josh for what he himself had done, as moments later, this happened. It's hard to hear, but someone calls out saying, hey, right before Dan looks away and ends the stream. Most likely, the person calling out for him was a police officer, as later on, it was revealed that this was the moment he was suddenly approached by cops who held and arrested him.
Wait, hold on, bro. Glove up. Gloves on. You got some extra? I should. So we're going to take him from the chair, and we'll go across, so we're not fighting on the pillar.
So this was the body cam footage in February of 2024. Interesting. Okay.
We're going to go ahead and make contact with him right now. Hey, buddy, it's okay. Relax. Just remember, relax. No more for your relax.
This same officer informed Daniel that he had 3 standing warrants for his arrest, and that he had been trespassed for life from the mall he was at. I gotta say, these
color me shocked.
Cops were extremely good at handling someone as wiry as Daniel, as when he started rattling off his excuses for not showing up to court, the officer explained to him he just needed to call them to reschedule his appointment, which Daniel claimed he was working on doing. The specific warrant being enforced here was a $20,000 statewide probation violation warrant, but he had 2 others in specific counties that he had been running from. When they got to the station, Daniel asked to speak to a sergeant to complain about the arresting officers being too aggressive with him.
So when I was met with the officers that arrested me, they grabbed both my arms and put them behind my back.
It's called arrest control.
Right.
Okay.
And I feel like it was kind of aggressive.
It may have been.
Okay. That's how typical arrests work, Mr. Larson. Mr. Special Agent Larson. You should know that from your experience in the FBI, surely. Also, Larson, could you get me a job in the FBI? I'd be interested, you know, in getting some work in the FBI. I don't know.
And a little aggressive?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what kind of warrant you have?
I do, yes.
Okay. Do you think that, due to the fact that you have a history of being violent with other people, that maybe that's why they did that?
I just feel like it was aggressive for the meaning of what they were trying to do at that time. I feel like if I was being aggressive, then I feel like that makes sense.
Okay, did you make statements?
Oh my God. Oh, man.
So we're going to shoot up the Aurora Mall?
I did not.
For context, between his previous arrest and this one, an incident took place in which an unidentified troll near Daniel's area noticed that he was loitering at the Aurora Mall, the same mall he was in on the day of his last arrest. This troll proceeded to approach Daniel and douse him with an entire bottle of fart spray.
Oh, yeah, this guy was an asshole, just to be clear. Like, I actually watched the video, and I think this is one of the very few times I actually think Daniel Larson was in the right. This guy was like an actual fucking legitimate loser that was just there to cause trouble. Just because it was Daniel Larson. What a fucking... Like, this guy's a loser in the video, just to be clear. The guy recording. Yeah, he was like literally just dousing shit on him for no fucking reason and starting shit with him. It's like, this guy's a fucking loser in the video.
While it's obviously not okay to initiate altercations like this, especially in places like a mall where it can result...
No, he's a fucking loser, this guy in the video.
...in damage to the property or harm to Daniel, he responded in an equally not okay fashion.
This dude's freaking out. Holy sh**. Hey, someone get security. This guy's freaking out. So, hey, this guy's freaking out. Someone get security. He's knocking over. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, back up.
I can't play it here due to YouTube's amazing rules, but Daniel could also be seen hitting himself and heard hitting something else in the background.
Yeah, we saw it earlier in the video. And also, I don't think Turkey Tom plays it here, but this guy was also calling him the R slur. He was calling Daniel Larson the R slur, and he obviously knew that he had an IDD disability, so he's very clearly saying it with the intention of trying to degrade him. It's very fucking... Yeah, this guy's an asshole in the video. I don't defend this guy at all. It's like one of the few times that I actually think like Daniel Larson was like kind of in the right here. I'm not gonna lie.
Following the incident, Daniel made a series of posts to TikTok claiming that he had been doused with pee, a stolen bottle of perfume, as well as alleging that the troll tried to get Daniel to...
It's hard to take anything that Daniel Larson says seriously because he has provably lied before, and he provably has said stuff that was not true. Whether it was malicious or not, who knows? But like, it's hard to take anything Daniel says seriously because his retelling of events has often been very, very inaccurate.
His car and hotel forcibly, which is very odd. This incident was quickly absorbed into Dan's delusions, as he made another post saying Bob refused to help his security team and the Vanderwall family and management to protect Daniel from the assault. Despite suffering no injury as a consequence, a day later, Daniel checked himself into a hospital. Yes, you heard right. There was a celebrity in the hospital.
Excuse me, there's currently a celebrity in the hospital. Dang. There is currently a celebrity in the hospital. We are asking that the message gets out.
He stayed there briefly, but...
Oh my god. Is this like some random restaurant he walked into? There's a celebrity in the hospital and then they like kicked him out? I don't think I've seen this video before, but it definitely seems on brand for Daniel Larson.
After he was medically cleared and discharged, he was found sleeping in the lobby. Of course, it was pretty easy to figure out he was fine and was just a homeless person looking to stay inside, but it wasn't so easy to get him to leave the hospital.
You've been harassing me?
I've been asking you politely to leave because you've been discharged.
I want the police to show up.
You wait up here to escort you out.
I want the police. I don't care. Trespass me from the hospital. That's a violation.
No, it's not. This is me enforcing the hospital's policy and the right to be safe.
So I guess I won't go to any hospital.
Someone said pull the fire alarm in chat. You guys are fucking cringe. Like, literally, there's, like I said, this is what I'm talking about when I say that the TikTok, there's like a weird sub-community of people on TikTok that troll people because they have intellectual and developmental disabilities. It's so fucking strange. People are, like, very, very parasocial and have nothing going on in your lives, clearly. Get a job. I don't know what to tell you. Get a fucking job.
On the state of Colorado. I guess I will just leave Colorado because you can't trespass me from a hospital if I was a patient.
I certainly can't trespass you because you've been discharged, you've been medically cleared.
It's always wonderful to see how lippy he gets when he's arguing with women instead of men. Despite his many intellectual disabilities, he clearly understands...
Is that actually like a real thing that Daniel Larson does? Is he like more argumentative with people that are women as opposed to people who are men? I actually never noticed that. Is that like a legitimate thing with Daniel?
When he can get away with this kind of behavior. It's also funny to see him randomly bringing up leaving the state of Colorado because he's aware of his warrants and has probably been thinking about leaving to avoid his legal troubles. His tone noticeably changes when a guy, probably security, joins the conversation.
But you're waiting for the bus. You need to be at the bus stop, waiting for the bus.
And the bus stop, I know exactly where it is.
Okay, here's the... We're not gonna argue. You already told me to leave, right?
Right.
So we leave immediately or you leave with me now?
But
leave or go with me, your choice.
Why would I go with you?
We're done, because you're trespassing.
I'm not trespassing at all. I was a patient.
I'm not gonna argue with you. You're trespassing. It's time to go now or you're gonna end up in the jail. Your choice.
I don't understand because I was a patient. I got discharged.
You've been discharged and you were sleeping. You were told to leave.
I wasn't sleeping in the lobby at all.
Because I was there, so it's time to go now.
I wasn't sleeping in the lobby at all, and I told you I was waiting for...
I'm about to put you in handcuffs and take you to jail.
You can't do that, because you like literally
so you're under arrest for trespassing.
No, I'm not.
Are you ready to go?
No, I'm not, because I'm leaving.
But just as Daniel was about to get out of one of these trespass situations without getting himself in even more legal trouble, we can see the tongue of rage emerge from its dark crevice. And this is what he does next.
And they previously wouldn't even give me a bus ticket. They were telling me to call Bob and get him to come pick me up. I guess I'll plan a mess on the place. Holy treating you that way.
Oh my god. Crazy. I mean, like, listen... I shouldn't be laughing. It's so fucked up. But it's like... like, he's obviously not gonna do it. I mean, you never know, actually. Like, these are people with, like, intellectual and developmental disabilities, so you never know what they're capable of. If you've ever read the book of Mice and Men, there's a character there named Lenny. He was obviously someone who had a mental disability. And he was basically in Of Mice and Men. Lenny was unaware of his own strength. And so he would accidentally hurt people in such a way, like he was unaware of his own strength. I don't think he was trying to kill anyone in that book, but he did do it like on accident. Yeah, I mean, it's like you got to take a different approach with like these people, and like you never know what they're capable of is the point that I'm making. So maybe Daniel could have shot up the place, you know, like because he was threatening to do that. He was also leading up to his final arrest in April 2024. He was I don't know if he got released since then, but he was making a bunch of bomb threats, and there were like I believe there was like over 10 counts of him making bomb threats, which adds to your charges. It adds up very, very quickly.
I'll treat him with disrespect. Daniel McDougall guy, the secret investigator guy, he thought I could actually make a bomb. I don't even know how to use fireworks. Are you me? And the guy wants to come up to my family and say that I was making a bomb just because I was famous. Like, what the f? Maybe I should go to Bob's house and actually, with a gun and a bomb, and bomb his house. Because I have a...
I should not be laughing, dude. This is so fucking... This is not good. But yeah, every time he, like, talks like this, I just can't help but fucking laugh. I don't know why. It's just so... Maybe it's, like, the outrageousness of this. Like, no normal person would ever say something like this. So it's, like, almost unique in that sense.
Right to defend myself. Apparently, I can't self-defend myself, but I think I'm gonna call Bob, and I'm gonna leave him a long voicemail.
It would definitely not be self-defense. Again, I'm not really gonna pick apart too much of what Daniel's saying for obvious reasons, but still.
About if he doesn't give me $3,000, so I can get a motel room for a week and get an apartment, then I might actually show up on his property.
Although it's cut together...
What was that fucking elephant filter that showed up?
Here for your viewing experience. After he made the shooting threat, he spent several minutes in silence, probably because he remembered he could actually get in trouble for saying things like that, especially when directed at a hospital of all places. Then he brings up his previous bombing threats and a certain secret investigator, Daniel McDougall.
Daniel McDougall. Oh boy. Who's this FBI agent? Is this one of Daniel Larson's contacts in the FBI? Because he works there?
Who apparently interrogated him about his threats. At this point in time, most people were under the impression that this, like many other things he mentions during his streams and videos, was just a fake name some troll used to pretend to be a police officer to get some responses out of Danderson. Later on, we'll find out that's not quite the case. Regardless, this stream and the things he was yelling during his altercation with the fart spray troll not only got him banned from the mall, but also attracted the attention of the authorities, who must have had some kind of APB
very unsurprising
out on him for days before his arrest. This brings us back to his February arrest, when he tries to convince the sergeant his ban from the Aurora Mall was the work of one of his fans.
Another thing is I am extremely popular on social media, so it doesn't surprise me that one of my fans would have called the Aurora Mall and then claimed I said something I didn't, because that happens all the time as well.
Regardless of whatever gibberish he was trying to tell every cop that was handling his booking, he was uneventfully...
I mean, technically he's not wrong. He is popular on social media, but not for the reasons that he believes he is.
Taken into jail. While you're getting the beat by beat right now, at the time this was happening, most people were completely out of the loop and desperate for some updates on Mr. President. Their desperation got to the point that, in an attempt to listen to his first court appearance, they ended up swarming some other guy's court appearance who happened to also be named Daniel Larson, and it got that court stream shut down. 1 week later, the real Danderson was slated to have an appearance, but it was in a court in Jefferson County, and he obviously couldn't attend due to being in jail in Arapahoe County. A day later, he was finally seen through an online court stream, and while not very many online observers managed to get into the stream, one of the people who did left a comment on Reddit relaying the information. Daniel's attorney said he has been diagnosed with autism and PTSD. They mentioned that his close friends are assisting him in finding shelter in motels. They also mentioned that he has a following on TikTok and is earning money on his own through his fame. He's getting a psychological evaluation and a new court date next week. There should be a $500 cash option for the secured bond. Daniel said, "I just don't have anyone that can do a security bond. I just don't have any family. I will be able to get a psych evaluation by tomorrow." During his time in jail, former manager Flexberger released 4 phone calls between Daniel and Clark, who was his current manager. This is what he immediately says as soon as he gets on the first call.
Yeah, so apparently this is pretty much all Bob's fault. But it's because, don't tell him this, but it's because I haven't been going to my probation meetings, because he won't give me my money to be able to get there.
The rest of the call is a lot less entertaining, as Clark feeds into Daniel's delusions of fame, talking about how the fans leaked the arrest body cam footage, and not questioning Daniel when he talks about getting support from Bob and Grace to get him out.
It really makes you wonder, how the fuck did we get here? Like, how did we get to this point where, like, we're 26 minutes into the video out of 1 hour 44 minutes, but it's like, how did we, like, really get to this point where Daniel Larson is just like, there's police involved, there's all these court things going on, all these things, and it really makes you, like... I can't explain the entire Daniel Larson rabbit hole in, like, a single pause. Like, you would have to just watch, like, previous coverage on the Daniel Larson situation and do, like, a deep dive. I'm sure there's other videos doing, like, an entire deep dive on Daniel Larson. So I can't explain all of it here, but it's, like, this video and reaction is mainly for the people who already, like, have a pretty good idea of who Daniel Larson is and a lot of the stuff that he would get into. It's very... Oh, man, it's quite a dive.
Out of jail. The primary concern for Daniel is to get his fans to do teamwork, by which he means everyone pitching in to pay his $20,000 bail, which was still that high when the call was made. Now, the secondary concern is preventing someone named Cheng from taking over the UCLA and making it legal to eat dogs. The next call has some more interesting moments.
People are going around to sale to sale showing all of my Photoshops, not even the real photos.
What the fuck is this? Is this AI? This is obviously AI. He's like a literal chicken, a humanoid chicken in this fucking... Dude, I almost question if this is even allowed to be shown on YouTube. I guess it's technically not a naked body, so fair game, but still, holy fuck, man.
Are you serious?
After this one, it seems that Daniel was allowed to have video calls, as he has a camera feed in parts of it.
He's telling me to tell the courts that if they don't get me housing, Bob's gonna kill himself and all this weird stuff. And it's like, no, like, please just, you know, like, I don't want to be involved in all that garbage. Well, he's 70 years old, you know, and he's acting like being 70 years old gives him the authority. And all it's doing is it's bringing down my life. It's framing me is what it's doing. And in the end, he should be the one to bail me out.
Bob is not the Clark person. Bob is the caretaker of Daniel, just for context.
Because he's the one that's been giving me all my money.
Here, try and see if you can turn your camera on. I want to see if you're doing good.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would talk to Tina and kind of go from there. I should go for now to save battery and to save money. Message Tina and Grace and see if they can bail me out.
Even while constantly putting Bob down for
Message Tina and Grace Vanderwall if they can bail me out. Holy fuck, dude. Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna come to your rescue, Daniel. No worries.
No reason, he still expects him to bail him out just because he used to give him money. It's important to say that Bob had absolutely nothing to do with this, and any communications between Daniel and Bob during this time period are actually between Daniel and trolls pretending to be Bob. There is another call, but due to it just covering things we've already heard, and Daniel further giving himself over to his delusions about Grace, it's not worth getting into. While he was initially looking at anywhere between 30 days and a whopping 18 months for violating his probation, on the 1st of March, his plot armor muscled through, and he was released with a reinstated probation.
Hello everybody, it is March 1st, 2024, and I got released from the Boulder County Jail.
Only to be arrested a month later.
A couple of days later, he responded to some YouTube comments who were asking him questions about what went on by saying that he was
okay. Can I even read these? I got sexually harassed. I got raped. Oh my god.
Assaulted and raped in jail, adding that he was in a pod with murderers. Despite being released, things didn't get much better for Daniel, as restaurants were consistently kicking him out or refusing to serve him altogether due to his reputation. His new thing after this latest arrest of him pretending to call his probation, which I assume meant his probation officer, but no one would pick up, only for there to be no dial tone, no sound indicating a missed call, no sounds of buttons being pressed when he's dialing, just Daniel muttering to himself as if he was doing something and visibly shaking his head to demonstrate his frustration. There were some other questionable activities during this period as well, such as Daniel making a post titled Modeling, where it was just a picture of himself shirtless. What an absolute specimen. It didn't take long for his paranoid delusions to return, as Daniel made posts about hearing gunshots, seeing the police come, receiving paychecks from Interscope Records, and being ghosted by his management and Bob. Like the boy who cried wolf, due to how much Daniel made up, it was hard to say when he was talking about something that actually happened. So when he started talking about being physically hit by someone named Dylan Clark and kicked out of the homeless shelter, many thought he was simply talking about his manager.
I just got kicked out of the Boulder County homeless shelter because Dylan Clark was back and he hit me.
This supposed fight was followed by Daniel making a phone call to report on this Dylan Clark person and claiming he was being investigated by Daniel's cybersecurity team. In reality,
oh my god. It's really hard not to laugh at some of this stuff. I would never encourage trolling Daniel Larson either, but holy fuck, dude. It's insane the, like, lengths that Daniel goes to, because, like, no normal human being would ever do, like, anything like this.
Dylan Clark, or as he's usually referred to, Blark, was someone who had already conducted a few interviews with Daniel and had gotten in legal trouble for calling in threats to schools. The thing about this is, Blark was also a compulsive liar, so there was no shot anyone would immediately get a clear story out of these guys. However, it turned out Daniel had told the truth, at least in part, since he did get in a scuffle with Blark, which got him kicked out of the shelter. This wasn't that big of a deal since Daniel had already proved himself to be incompatible with other shelter rules, like not streaming on his phone all the time. But the thing is, housing was a requirement of his recently reinstated probation, and since he was out of the shelter, he was in violation of it. Of course, that's without mentioning the dozen other court dates and violations he was committing left and right, so it really was just a matter of time until he was caught again. Before the cops got to him though, Daniel had another minor conflict, and this time it was against, water.
You drinking water? That's disgusting. You might as well be drinking cum.
And the water was winning. First, he got so carried away on his phone that he walked through an entire section of the sidewalk that was completely covered in freezing cold water. Later on, an unknown person doused him with water late that
Oh my god. That actually pisses me off. It's, like, really annoying when people do shit like this. Like, they'll attack and assault someone, or they'll, like, dump water on someone, or just be, like, a total asshole. And they know that they have a disability, so they're not going to fight back or defend themselves. It's really, like, these people clearly didn't get beat up enough as a child, just saying.
At night. But before Commander H2O could secure a dominant victory against the Larsonian army, on the 19th, the police found him at a random grassy off-road location and arrested him. He was processed for being a fugitive, and once again, it seemed like the charges were piling up against him in such a way there would be no way he got away with it. Then, he got away with it, having his probation reinstated for the umpteenth time. After this, he was free for another 2 weeks.
It's like, how many times can you get away with it before, like, the law finally says, like, listen, this guy obviously can't exist in society. He needs to be locked away. whether it's in like an institute or if it's in prison.
We can lay the blame for that completely on the court that released him, as Daniel was doing everything in his power to get himself captured again. Within a couple of days of his release, he announced there'd be an imminent financial crash, setting the grounds for his first big meltdown from this period.
The FBI can go ahead and press legal charges on me. I will just kill their ass.
He soon followed this up with a new stream where he sprinted around, claimed he was being followed, and afterwards posted a video titled "Shots Fired," where he ran around to the sound of Pop Smoke, and he can be heard repeating the phrase throughout it. Clearly, there's some major bout of paranoia going on here for reasons that are impossible to understand. Over the next few days, Daniel keeps bringing up meeting with the FBI, and more specifically, being wanted by the US Secret Service, which once again ties back to the mystical Daniel McDougal figure. Danderson apparently tried to properly attend his court hearings and his probation appointments, but failed to do so multiple times, meaning he was going to be arrested again, this time for violating his bond stipulations. At the end of the month, he ended up at the hospital for unknown reasons, and 2 days later, someone pulled the fire alarm at the hotel he was staying at, which many speculate was actually Daniel. Whatever the case truly is with the fire alarm, on the same day, he got on a bus to go back to Denver, which, as far as I'm aware, he wasn't allowed to do, as he had court meetings to attend in the county he was already in. Consequently, he was arrested again for being a fugitive, only to be released again the following day. You see, the warrant on him was only concerned with the hearings he missed, and completely unaware of his innumerable bombing threats on TikTok. The last couple of arrests were related to the original charges Daniel—
Someone made like tons of remixes of when he was like doing the bomb threats. It was like, bomb you, bomb you, bomb you.
got during the December 2023 Olive Garden incident, wherein he pulled the fire alarm at an Olive Garden—
Yes, this part. Yeah, this was the video I saw. This was insane. This was actually fucking crazy. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I actually had to step away for a couple of hours because there was a lot that was going on today. We're back, and we have an hour and 10 minutes left of this video, so let's just keep watching. I pretty much remember most of this, though, so—
Went absolutely ballistic.
Most of what was happening. Just to be clear, I didn't pre-watch this video.
The staff tried to kick him out, claiming there were FBI vehicles outside and that he was going to meet with Grace, as well as Secret Service agent Daniel McDougal.
You guys were back in the back printing off my nudes off of a website.
Oh my god, fucking Olive Garden. He was like pretending to be an FBI agent too and everything. Fucking great.
Performing a citizen's arrest, so the FBI is outside.
Oh my god.
Was that the bite?
He pulled the fucking fire alarm too. Oh my gosh, incredible.
While it had been months since this incident, Daniel was still in the same headspace.
This is a message to the feds, the FBI, CIA, US government, and Bob and everybody on Earth. Better not try to twist what I am saying and take little bits and pieces of my social media and try to incriminate me and try to press charges on me. You guys are trying to take what I say, take the things that I've said, and twist the entire story around. If anyone does that, there will be a massive, massive lawsuit.
I wish I could get through the Daniel and say that's called taking things out of context, just to communicate that.
I am friends with Donald J. Trump.
Oh my... You'd think he's trolling.
And when he's president, I will make sure that he takes down the feds.
You do that, Daniel.
But I'm not going to sit here and play games where the feds are like, oh, you threatened us, you said this, you said that, when you don't even know the entire reason why.
On the 6th of that month, he ensured a speedy return to lockup as he made a stream where he did pretty much everything he wasn't supposed to do, and once again attracted the attention of law enforcement for the things he said.
I will bomb your house! Bomb you! Bomb you! Bomb you!
I thought the context for this clip was that somebody, I think it was another person that was trolling Daniel Larson. They said that he had a job interview at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I guess Daniel decided that would be like a good thing for him because obviously everyone needs a job to make money. Someone like told him that, and then he went to the fucking he went to the Buffalo Wild Wings just to find out he didn't have a fucking job, and then he went on this stream and then he literally said fuck you N-word. He literally says a slur, which obviously not okay, but it's like, again, he's IDD community. You have to operate it from a different angle. You know, I'm sure he wasn't saying it to actually try to like hate black people. To him, it was probably just like the worst, most like offensive word he could think of, and that was just the word that came to mind. So it is what it is. Doesn't make it okay, but I mean, the intentionality always does matter. And I hate when people say intentions don't matter, because they always do. It's fucking, like, dumb morons on Twitter that want a virtue signal.
Bomb you! Kill you! Kill you! Call the feds on me!
When the serpent's tongue is poking out, you know he means business. His many threats against Bob, every police station in the world, the White House, and Daniel McDougal would be the key elements to getting him locked up for good. Funnily enough, it seems this meltdown was triggered by Daniel being kicked out of a Buffalo Wild Wings. And honestly,
I was right. Wow, yeah, okay, so I was correct.
understand.
What the fuck is this
Despite
video?
this insane episode, Daniel spent the rest of the month mostly behaving himself, attending court, and trying to obey his probation. But unfortunately for him, it was too little, too late, as his fate was already sealed. Unbeknownst to him, his threats to the almighty Bob meant he had no chance of keeping his freedom. On the 27th, Daniel has a brief and mostly undocumented run-in with the police, and although he's not arrested on the spot, this incident is probably what led to what came next. He gets kicked out of yet another B-dubs the next day, and probably aware he was going to get caught and arrested again.
Oh, is this a different Buffalo Wild Wings?
For missing court appointments and dine and dashing, he announced online that he was on his way to Boulder, where he had every intention of continuing his rampage. However, before he could go, on the 30th, he was arrested for the last time. And this time, it wasn't for some petty county charge, but instead, a federal warrant for the bombing threats he had been making online for the past year.
Yeah, and I think it's like, what is it? There's like a certain amount of time he gets for each bomb threat that he's made, and he made a lot of them, so that adds up very quickly, especially in a court of law.
Back in August of 2023, Daniel posted a video titled Daniel Larson on his way to meet up with the investigator, where he talked about meeting with Secret Service agent Daniel McDougal to talk about the things Daniel had said during the 7-Eleven incident. Namely, he said he would have the White House bombed after a couple of trolls stole Daniel's dog. Although this stealing was quite justified, given that Daniel wasn't treating the dog properly and didn't even have the means to feed it, as he was homeless.
This was back in July of 2023. Which means, like, this had been ongoing for a long time at this point. He's been, like, continuously getting arrested over and over and over again. And it's like, at what point do you just need to lock him up for good?
Agent McDougal has been somewhat of a recurring theme, especially when Danderson broaches the topic of blowing up people or buildings. As I already said, many people assumed this was just a troll who was presenting himself as some kind of official to gain Daniel's trust. But, to the surprise of everyone, in Daniel's court documents, we can see that the person in charge of Daniel's case was none other than FBI agent Daniel McDougal. For a whole year, McDougal was apparently keeping track of Larson's online activities, which is
That's interesting. Special agent of the United States Secret Service. Oh my god, wait, what the fuck does Secret Service want to do with Daniel? Wouldn't you think he's like FBI or something?
It's really funny to me.
I don't know what Secret Service would want with him.
Imagine working your whole life to become an FBI agent, and instead of investigating terrorism or...
I guess it says Secret Service. Maybe it was FBI. I don't know, dude. Like, that's strange.
Organized crime.
Am I just like, do I not understand that part?
You get tasked with following the online activities of Daniel Larson. I don't know if that's a dream scenario or a nightmare scenario, but whatever it is, that's his life. Over the 4 pages of his indictment, Daniel had 6 counts of threatening to use explosives and 1 count of interstate communication threats. I imagine that these may sound a little scary if you don't know the context and have no idea who Daniel Larson is, but it's hilarious if you look into what each of these counts is actually about. A couple of them are related to the July 3rd Community Tab incident when Daniel said he would bomb a courthouse, the headquarters of both Spotify and Reddit, and the White House.
I am done, and I will not stop until the White House is blown up.
Then we have the August 29th meltdown when trolls got under Daniel's skin by pretending to be Grace and claiming she was cheating on him with Bob and Tyrone. In response, Daniel threatened to kill Beyonce, himself, and Grace Vanderwall, then threatened to drop bombs on the White House, Columbia Records, all of the US government, every single police station in the world, and Bob's house. Then he tried to dox Grace, and last but not least, he called his manager at the time the N-word. Although there have been some people who make accounts pretending to be Daniel to say incriminating stuff, Daniel ensured that people knew he was the real deal by posting a video called Proof for N-word Grace Vanderwall I Am Hitting Myself, where he did what was said in the title while wishing that she was dead. There were probably...
Christ, man. That's a lot. Can you imagine someone who doesn't understand the Daniel Larson rabbit hole just like seeing this for the first time? Like they would probably think that he was just some insane unhinged person, but they wouldn't understand the context of who Daniel Larson is. Oh my god.
Probably a lot of other things that he said that are unfortunately gone. The reason why being that, due to how fast he spammed his community post feed, not all of them have been archived. The other 2 incidents that contributed to the charges against him were the March 23rd and April 6th meltdowns, which we've already gone over, and the Christmas Day meltdown, in which Daniel specifically said he was going after none other than Agent McDougal. While there were many instances where Daniel claimed he'd been communicating with Agent McDougal, there were also some other confirmed instances of people pretending to be him, some of which were caught by Daniel himself. Because of this, it's impossible to know which ones were real and which ones were trolls. Regardless, if they had any communications where McDougal tried to advise against making terroristic threats on TikTok, they clearly had no effect. As it's laid out by Daniel's court documents, all of the counts he faced could add up to 65 years in jail and $1.7 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's generally a good thing. Like, Daniel just needs to be locked away for good. Like, like I said, he cannot be a functioning member in society. He's very much proven that he cannot. So if he stays in prison or in, like, some institute, like, forever, I think that would just be for the best, in all honesty. I think that would, like, that's just what needs to happen.
Of course, rarely do people get sentenced to the exact full amount of their counts, but knowing Daniel, anything is possible. He could try to represent himself and destroy his case so badly that he got the full ride, or he could go free out of nowhere. Surprisingly, despite the FBI's year-long surveillance of Daniel's online activities, it doesn't seem like there was any emphasis on looking into the many times Daniel admitted to watching illegal videos of children. Literally one day before he got arrested, he made a community post which read, "I watched CP because the FBI and US Secret Service showed me what it was."
Oh my god, wow. Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely not going to help your case in the court of law.
Pretty bold move. I'm sure that'll look good on the eventual court transcript. While I try not to wish ill will on anyone, it's only fitting that, along with Daniel, it seems that his manager, Clark, was also in the crosshairs of the police for allegedly being an accomplice to Daniel's activities. While there have been multiple managers over Daniel's career, if we can call it that, Clark held that position for the longest period of time, at 10 months straight. Meanwhile, Flexberger, a former manager of Daniel's, consistently highlighted that, despite this being funny, Daniel was a pathological liar with very creepy tendencies that, frankly, should be a matter of public knowledge. Consequently, Flex's approach to managing Daniel was to try and extract as many funny moments as he could, without actively empowering him to get in contact with other people. Meanwhile, it seems that due to issues in his personal life, Clark became parasocially infatuated with Daniel, speaking with him over 10 hours a week every single week. While it's universally unadvisable to directly interact with people like Daniel just beyond observing them, Clark didn't just interact with him, but he actively enabled all of his delusions, which definitely drove him further into the paranoid schizo state he was in the last few months that he was free. It may sound—
You could definitely make the argument that, like, Clark has, like, a level of responsibility for doing that as well. Like, 100%. It's like, not only is it parasocial, like Turkey Tom said here, but it's also very, like, that's kind of fucked up in, like, a weird own, like, it's just so fucked up to do something like that. Like, typically, like, mentors are meant to, like, listen, I had a job, I had an internship job back in high school, and a lot of my coworkers were people that were in the IDD community. I had coworkers, and they were with a mentor, specifically. They had a mentor with them, but they were actually very smart people. They were able to do their job effectively. They were able to do stuff very effectively. They were still able to do things very, very well because they had that mentorship there. And so, like, it's supposed to, like, I don't know, it really just sucks when you're, like, misguided in such a way that, like, someone fuels your delusions and you do, like, all the incorrect things. It's, in a weird way, it's almost kind of sad. Like, it feels like that's part of the, it's definitely a huge part of why Daniel Larson ended up the way he did, I think.
Harmless or just dumb, but his management approach led to two situations: the Golden Hotel incident and the Olive Garden incident, where Clark told Daniel that Grace would be at a certain establishment and egged him on to the point where Daniel became belligerent toward the staff and caused serious property damage. It also didn't help that Clark had a whole Discord server set up around interacting with Daniel, which is just about as bad of an idea as—
That's very fucked up. This Clark guy does not seem like a good person at all, based on, like, everything I'm, like, hearing and seeing. This Clark person seems very fucking strange.
Now, this isn't to say some of Daniel's past managers, including Flex, were saints, or that their behavior should be reproduced, but Clark's approach was specifically bad, given how friendly he was to Daniel. Additionally, in December 2023, Flex—
it's especially, I would say, probably predatory. I know, like, that word is kind of a buzzword on the internet, but, like, his behavior was especially very fucking awful to Daniel.
Some phone communications Daniel had with Clark, where this is said.
What he's doing is he's blaming you for being a fake lawyer. Okay? Everything is true, but you are a fake lawyer. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this Daniel McTuckle guy. He is saying I have to do a lie test. A lie detection test. In other words, when I say you're my lawyer, he's saying he's not a real lawyer.
I don't know exactly when this call was made, but based exclusively on what Daniel and Clark are saying, it seems that Clark was obstructing McDougal's investigation by pretending to be and convincing Daniel that he was his real lawyer. While this fixation on Daniel isn't as bad as, let's say, Isabella Janke's fixation with Chris Chan, Clark also claimed that he—
Oh, jeez. I haven't deep dived into the Isabella Janke stuff. I've heard a lot about it, though. I hear she's like a really, really messed up person. And I haven't even dived into the Chris Chan rabbit hole, and I've always been, like, on and off about whether I should even dive into it at all to begin with.
He was doing all of this to put Daniel in jail, but clearly he was making no real genuine efforts to have that happen. The worst part about it is that Clark was financially enabling Daniel for the duration of his management, which is probably how Daniel managed to pay for buses to travel from county to county. Despite his involvement having proven to be harmful, even after Daniel was locked up, Clark continued to communicate with him regularly. The first call took place on the 1st of May, when Daniel explained how the arrest actually went down.
Seven counts of drugs and associates.
Yep, under federal court.
Holy shit.
While he was lucid enough to accurately lay out what he was charged with without lying, he immediately followed it up with this.
I can't even hear what's happening right now. Can, like,
it's
barely
like he can never
hear
get in
it.
any trouble without instantly trying to drag Bob down with him. What's likely to be the real explanation for what Daniel is saying is that McDougal, whose specialty as an FBI agent was fraud, was suspicious about Daniel's earnings, most of which came from Bob, who kept him afloat for the majority of his career. Later on in the call, Daniel mentions that he's now—
That's actually interesting. Maybe, you know, like, listen, because if he is, like, an FBI agent, he definitely looks like a bit of an older guy who's not really, like, super terminally online, so he doesn't understand— maybe he, like, doesn't understand the concept of, like, streaming this. I think he maybe has, like, an overall, like, decent idea of it, but he doesn't understand how deep some of the streaming rabbit holes can go. So maybe he was just, like, not aware of that. I mean, I guess he has, like, a better idea now that Daniel is supposedly locked up, and I think that's for the better.
now considered a flight risk, and that they're considering moving him to a higher security facility. His public defender's strategy to get Daniel out of jail was to explain that he doesn't know how to make explosives and didn't mean any of the threats that he said, as he only said them because he was panicking. While these things are both true, like always, Daniel pairs it with a lie.
I don't think that, again, I don't think that's going to hold up in a court of law necessarily. You can't just say, like, I didn't mean something necessarily. Now, that's not to say intentions don't matter in a court of law. You know, we have first degree, second degree, and third degree murder for a reason. But, like, even so, like, there's still serious charges that you could get charged with. Now, I guess being part of the IDD community, maybe that's part of the reason why people were letting Daniel Larson go so much. But again, I don't know. I think there's just so much overwhelming evidence that it can be, that is like stacked on top of Daniel at this point that just shows he cannot be a functioning member of society in any meaningful capacity. Again, I really
excluding all of the times he destroyed property, we know this to be untrue, since all the way back in 2017, Daniel's first documented arrest was for hitting his mother, who was paralyzed and wheelchair bound, and hitting
what the fuck?
His grandmother.
I didn't hear about this.
Who, according to his own mom, was sick and dying. Both of their conditions are publicly verifiable, and both of these women have since passed away. So rest in peace, and God bless them for putting up with the maniac that is Danderson. While the felony third-degree assault charge he got for it was dismissed, he was deemed guilty of misdemeanor harassment and sentenced to 44 days in jail, although Daniel is known to lie about this. In his version of the story, the case as a whole was dismissed, and his mother deserved to be hit due to allegedly being abusive towards him, hitting him with belts for 15 years.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that part is true. I know Daniel Larson is not exactly the most reliable narrator. It's definitely hard to take anything Daniel says seriously, but I believe that aspect of his story was legitimate, to my recollection.
Interestingly enough, he doesn't mention his grandmother at all when he talks about this. Besides the concerns about Daniel's violent behavior, it's also claimed that the judge wants him locked up so that he won't get released and immediately go back to social media, as that seems to be the main source of his delusions and problems. Despite looking down the barrel of serious legal punishment, Daniel not only maintained a pretty good outlook on it, but also adds that he's told his public defender will be reaching out to Grace, claiming that they're now engaged. It's unbelievable how far this Grace Vanderwall thing has gotten, and it's hard to believe there was once a time when Daniel didn't think they were in a relationship. When going over his—
Did we ever get a reaction from Grace Vanderwall herself as a whole? Did she ever find out about Daniel Larson, and did she ever make like a public statement on it? Because like I'm pretty sure like there should be, maybe Turkey Tom will go into it later, but I never really saw any like public or any specific reaction that they had towards it.
Charges, Daniel mentions that the prosecution was focused on the threats Daniel made towards the DDRC, the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center in Lakewood, Colorado, where Daniel used to stay before he was homeless. Unlike the majority of his other threats, which yielded nothing but potential jail time for Daniel himself, his threats against the DDRC resulted in the entire facility being evacuated and a bomb squad unit being detached to clear the building, which, as you can imagine, was quite stressful for the staff and patients and expensive for the police. But Daniel's take on it is pretty interesting.
After like comments he made one time, they had to evacuate like the whole building or something.
Yep, and they brought in false sniffing dogs.
Jesus Christ.
Because like DRC, you get took food. Which I mean proves kind of how stupid they are, you know, because they know me so well that like they know I'm not going to do that. But it's kind of ridiculous.
Like, why would they even waste?
What's particularly entertaining about this call is that when Daniel pivots to the FBI's interest in Clark in the Discord server, you can almost hear his heart sink.
The FBI is still saying things about you, and not only you, but now Discord server. That I know you're
Property of Larson Lee.
Jesus Christ, this is a whole mess now.
Yeah, so the feds are just trying to get me, you know, like they're trying to call me crazy when it's like, you know, because this is what I did and it's now.
I agree. Why would you lie?
Daniel's read of the situation is that instead of having him arrested, McDougal should have simply cut contact with Daniel. Before the call comes to an end, Daniel reveals that McDougal tried breaking his delusion by showing him a message that Grace Vanderwall's mother, Tina, once sent him. Stop saying my daughter's name.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. This is what I was asking earlier. Stop saying my daughter's name. Stop saying you are in a relationship with her. You are scaring her and our family. Everything you have said and done has been in your own mind. You need to access some mental health support and stop harassing my daughter. I've contacted the authorities and will continue to press the issue of you if you don't stop making disturbing videos. You followers have harassed my daughter long enough. Stop. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid crash out reaction.
Stop saying you are in a relationship with her. You are scaring her and our family. Everything you have said and done has been in your mind. You need to access some mental health support and stop harassing my daughter. I have contacted the authorities and will continue to press the issue if you don't stop making disturbing videos. Your followers have harassed my daughter long enough. Stop. In a shining example of his accountability and emotional control, Daniel said, I understand. I'm ending my life tonight. Everyone has messed up everything. I actually think this—
Did he send that to the mother? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Okay, yeah.
Interaction was what gave Daniel his tick of saying my family and our family during his aimless ramblings, as if he were speaking for the Vanderwalls or some kind of extended Larson family. Unfortunately, McDougal's attempt to show these messages to get Daniel to realize what was going on did not work, as he simply explained it away.
I imagine it wouldn't. I think like people were still fueling his delusions long enough to the point where he had already gone so far on the deep end that like there was just no convincing him otherwise.
as having happened years ago, and said that Tina had since changed her mind. It's actually kind of impressive that they didn't get him on some kind of cyber stalking or harassment charge for this. Perhaps finally realizing the gravity of his involvement with Daniel, on the 6th, Clark decided that it was time to come clean, although it had some mixed results.
All of this has been, it's fake, man. I mean, I'm not Clark, I'm not a lawyer, I don't work for Interscope. Grace doesn't want to talk to you. There isn't Grace. The only reason Grace knows you is because she thinks either you're a predator, a creep, and the only time you've ever talked to Tina was because she was telling you to back away. I mean, it hurts to say UCLA was fake, Interscope was fake. Every single thing that we did, it was fake. I mean, none of that was real, Daniel. I mean, and I can't keep leading you on here. And to be honest, you do need to learn your lesson. And I know we've acted like friends for the past, 9 months. But really, you're a sick guy, man. And I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt. Then I would see you send those to 15-year-old Sky Brown, say...
Is that actually a real thing? I wouldn't doubt that that's a real thing, but was that actually like a legitimate thing that he did?
Your things, you need to get some help. And I've been recording everything. We even worked with McDougall for a while, and I'm done. It's over, man.
Now, before we get to Daniel's response, I once again should note that while Clark is coming clean to Daniel here, he is not coming clean to the public, as he's still pretending that this was some kind of grand sting operation and that he was genuinely concerned that Daniel was a creep. In reality, he knew...
who the fuck would believe that?
From the get-go just how bad Daniel was, and got involved anyway because he was addicted to the entertainment he got out of it. Most of these managers, and more generally people who interact with locals, do so because they want to be a character in the locale story. It makes them feel relevant in a very sick way. And another point of his spiel here, Clark says that he won't be answering any more calls from Daniel, which of course was a lie because he kept coming back for more attention. Fortunately, Clark performatively coming clean had absolutely no effect on Daniel, whose mind is an impenetrable steel trap of delusion. Although people typically attribute a dramatic tone to this moment, the truth is that it made absolutely no difference at all. All it takes is for someone else to come around and tell Daniel that Grace is in love with him, and Daniel would fall for it again. Ultimately, he just wants his delusions to be true, and as long as that's the case, he'll continue believing them. Clark's radio silence lasted for about a day when Bob contacted him, telling him that Daniel had gotten into a fight in jail and wanted to talk to him. Although Bob immediately played it down, saying, "I took it that he had a fight in jail. If he actually did have a fight, it couldn't have been much. There was no indication that it disrupted his phone use." Additionally, the description of the Larson leak raw upload containing some of the evidence I've been talking about says that whatever this incident was, it must have been minor, since Daniel doesn't bring it up, and Clark forgot to even ask about it the next time they spoke. On the 9th, they spoke again, but it was brief and didn't add any new bits of information. One day later, Daniel's public defender introduced a motion for his immediate release, but the judge summarily denied this. Daniel then appeared in court and pled not guilty to all charges, but was ordered to remain detained regardless. Meanwhile, Clark took to Reddit to announce his supposedly permanent retirement as Daniel's manager.
I was sticking around for the after effects, getting a feel of how everyone would respond, and I was right. You people need Daniel, and will always need Daniel. If not Daniel, you'll find someone else who helps you feel better about yourself and your life. Some of you antisocial Reddit losers who have never spoken to a girl. I can understand how you don't communicate well, or what manipulation is, but it's not...
Okay, says the one who literally was like going out of their way to spend 10 hours being fucking parasocial and trying to get Daniel to do a whole bunch of other things and making his life so much worse than it actually was. Way to fucking shift the blame off yourself, you fucking absolute cretin of a human being. Jesus Christ.
Good reason to project on someone like myself. I truly don't care. Everything I did was for good. Everyone wanted him locked up. He's locked up. And I still got content during the fact that there were legit Secret Service agents involved. Enjoy your weird lolcow Reddit talk. It's funny. I found out about Daniel 9 to 10 months ago, probably like most of you, and did more than you guys could ever even imagine.
Jesus Christ, what a fucking self-centered asshole.
Clark out.
This pathetic farewell message got many people in the Daniel Larson subreddit to consider the possibility that Clark was shaping up to be their next person of interest, now that Daniel was behind bars. For context, time would prove that Clark was the one who was projecting, as a few months after Daniel was arrested, Clark tried to butt into World of T-Shirts and weasel his way into being a part of his story, only to get punched in the mouth for his efforts as Josh jogged away.
Good. Good. He fucking deserves it. Was it Josh that fucking did it? Let me replay that part.
Butt into World of T-Shirts and weasel his way into being a part of his story, only to get punched in the mouth for...
Oh, it wasn't Josh. It was some other guy. If Josh did it himself, like, kind of based, not gonna lie. He deserves it.
For his efforts as Josh jogged away. When Clark tried to grandstand on the subreddit, someone replied saying, "Dude, you're going to jail. You're a dangerous person to have free, and the feds at this point know it too. And when you go down, unlike Daniel, no one will feel even slightly bad for you. Do you think any jury on earth is gonna look at you as anything other than some shithead 20-year-old that long con destroyed a disabled man's life? You can brush it away all you want, but a jury won't." This sub is about to turn into a Clark sub. Within 2 hours of this post being made, Clark deleted not just his post, but his entire Reddit account. Granted,
good. Good. He's a fucking asshole. He literally is just not a good person at all.
This post was just one among many, telling Clark just how much of a goofball he was being. But what's important is that it cemented Clark as a certified villain in the Danderson story. For the time being, however, Clark actually did stay away from Daniel. And for months, there's actually no documented instances of Daniel speaking to anyone outside of jail. In late May, some of his court dates were canceled, and he was ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation, probably as an effort to ascertain if he was even competent to stand trial. Soon after, he was transferred to FCI Inglewood, which is the same exact facility that Subway Jared ended up in. What a coincidence. As Daniel's court case slowly progressed, he was ordered to be committed and hospitalized in a facility for for up to 4 months to make him competent to stand trial. Months went by, and while Clark hadn't engaged in any direct communication with Daniel, he remained active in the Discord, where he revealed that the last time Daniel tried to call him was June 30th. At this point, Clark actively wanted to get in contact with Daniel or Bob, but Bob wasn't picking up, and Daniel had to be the one to make the call, and he wasn't making it. Finally, in August, Clark noticed he missed a phone call from Daniel, meaning he was probably going to make another attempt soon. It took a while, but nearly a month later, Daniel called again, and this time, Clark managed to pick up.
Dang, Daniel, how you doing?
Absolutely terrible. My lawyer, my public defender, he is saying I'm incompetent and I'm going to get transferred to a psychiatric facility.
Daniel proceeds to list all the places he may end up in, many of which are in other states besides Colorado, an outcome that he and Bob don't want. I'm not sure how exactly Bob is involved, but while it's impossible to know if he's participating in the proceedings in any way, he most likely is still in regular contact with Daniel. Despite knowing that he's looking at a transfer to a psychiatric institution soon, Daniel remains steadfast in his intent of being released on time served, which more and more seems like an impossibility. Additionally, Daniel reiterates that none of his charges should stick, since he considers everything he did justified by the fact he was homeless and calling out for help. In a strange tangent, Daniel talks about how McDougal promised him many things, including having a wedding with Grace Vanderwall, none of which materialized. It's possible that the only
McDougal definitely did not promise him that at all. There's no shot he did that.
The reason Daniel suddenly brought McDougal up and tried to discredit him is that it seems that McDougal has mentioned the possibility of prosecuting him for his many questionable online activities regarding minors and not safe for work material. Immediately after talking about these promises, Daniel goes on a bit of a rant about how these claims are baseless, although he doesn't bring up any specifics since he knows how many times he's incriminated himself in the past. When this topic got too uncomfortable for Daniel, he pivoted to another lie, that the prosecution was now investigating Bob for having molested Daniel, although there is absolutely no evidence this was ever investigated or even considered by McDougal or anyone else. This once again seems to be Daniel randomly bringing Bob into every issue he has to try and push the blame on him. After this, Daniel gets into the topic of his jail conditions, and although I've already commented on this in past videos, whenever he gets particularly performative, he puts on this zesty tone of voice, almost like he's trying to emulate female celebrities in interviews.
Somebody was trying to fight me. People were calling into the jail, sending threats to me. And I'm like, guys, like, I'm famous. It's not a problem. I've been in protective custody on 22-hour lockdown a day.
Oh, yeah, that tone of voice. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
For 2 months now. And people are still saying I don't know how to read books when I do. So that's another thing that's pissing me off. People are accusing me of not knowing how to read. Inmates and COs keep coming up to me, like, joking around about Grace, saying, oh, I'm in contact with her now. I'm dating her. You know, it's like, okay, do you have their number? Because I have their number. I'm not, like, I don't have it, you know, straight on me, but it's in my legal discovery. It's just blocked out.
Although some people have brought up his inability to read, I think his claim that everyone was bringing it up is simply him expressing his insecurity about being illiterate. Also, despite the things Clark said in his previous call and his Reddit posts, Daniel is back to believing that he is dating Grace. And once again, Clark is enabling it.
But my legal discovery straight up has conversations with the verified Tina, Grace's mother, where it's straight up talking about being in contact with me and saying Grace is not dating you, she's not aware of you. But then what I find weird is there's a straight up letter that got sent to the homeless shelter where it straight up is from the real Dave. And Dave, as we know, was wanting the relationship and the wedding all along. He has no problem with it, as we know. Right?
Yeah, I mean, assuming so, yeah.
For context, Dave is Grace Vanderwall's father, who absolutely did not send Daniel any letters while he was in the homeless shelter. I didn't even know you could get mail in the homeless shelter. I can't tell if Daniel's just lying about who the letter came from, or if he's lying about getting a letter altogether, since he never stayed at a homeless shelter for more than a few days due to his inability to stop breaking their rules.
It's probably just another... Again, I brought this up earlier in the video, but it's, again, a lot of people in the IDD community, which a lot of them can be assholes just like normal people, believe it or not. They are more than capable of being assholes just like normal people are. Daniel Larson is an example of that for sure. But like a lot of people in the IDD community will just say things for the sake of saying things. I don't know if it's like a tick necessarily, or if they just say it to be silly, or like, I don't know. It varies from person to person, but I feel like the vibe that I get from Daniel Larson specifically is that he's sort of just saying it for the sake of saying it. I don't know. Even if it's like not true. That's why you have to take everything that Daniel says with a grain of salt, because he's definitely not a trustworthy source.
Even if a troll wanted to send him a letter pretending to be Dave, I strongly doubt he'd be able to receive it, and that it would end up in his legal discovery. This is just another instance of Daniel producing reasons to be confused, and allowing himself to believe whatever he wants to believe. After he's done complaining about his relationship with Grace not being taken seriously, he questions why he's not already out, and why his trial keeps getting pushed back, as the call runs out of time. There wouldn't be any communication with Daniel for a month, and in the meantime, there was some progress with his case. In late September of 2024, his defender demanded that Daniel be sent into a psychiatric facility, which was already meant to happen due to the questions about his competency, but for whatever reason, hadn't happened yet. This demand was made with the attached contingency that if he hadn't been evaluated by November 25th, the whole case would get dismissed, meaning Daniel would once again go free. Fortunately, the court established that Daniel's evaluation would begin in December. However, it seems like his case would be dismissed if the year ended with no evaluation in sight. The Larsonian cycle was dangerously close to restarting, and it's at this point that an interloper bypassed Clark and somehow got in contact with Daniel. On October 7th, someone named Lil Sippy was called by Daniel, and although it's hard to figure out how or why this happened, the call was immediately made available for the consumption of Daniel.
Lil Sippy? What kind of a fucking name is that? Just like unrelated to the video. What the fuck? What kind of a name is Lil Sippy?
Daniel's followers, and it contains some pretty interesting revelations.
My lawyer hasn't been getting back to me at all. I haven't spoken to him since early
early August. Also, my lawyer, for some reason, has been, the last time I talked to him, which was early August, right? He told me that I was never in contact with the Vanderwalls or the label, which is false. Because I was in contact with Grace.
You definitely were never in contact with the Vanderwalls. The only time that they ever contacted you was to tell you to back off.
Before, and her mother.
So you said that there's something in your discovery for your legal cases confirmed that you were talking to the Vanderwalls or something?
As we can see here, his lawyer hates Daniel because he's famous. Realistically, his lawyer probably actually got tired of trying to talk some sense into Daniel as he realized that Mr. President was a lost cause, opting instead to just work on his case without having to speak to him. Despite months having gone by, during which Daniel had no access to smartphones or the internet, he somehow maintained a pristine, frozen-in-time snapshot of his delusions. He follows it up with this.
It's confirmed, and there's even conversations in my legal discovery over social media where Tina has admitted to talking with me, which is true, where she's told me to stop listening to the trolls.
Somehow, Tina saying the same thing as Daniel's lawyer, which was that he never spoke to any of the Vanderwalls ever, became her telling him to not listen to the trolls. Conspicuously, he doesn't mention the letter from Dave, which I assume can be chalked up to him forgetting that he even told that lie in the first place. After this, Daniel explains how he can't be held liable for any of his threats because he was homeless and trying to survive. I don't know how threatening to blow up a disabled care facility makes homelessness more bearable, but to each their own. It did seem like his inability to hook himself up to an IV drip of trolls did make him slightly more articulate, but the side effect of this is that his lack of confusion almost makes him realize that the lies he's telling make no sense. For example,
So Tina wanted me to cut ties with Grace and stop talking to the impersonators.
So, I mean, I guess maybe I was a little bit incorrect. Maybe he is cognizant of the lies that he's telling actively. I wouldn't doubt it at all, given, like, how much shit Daniel Larson has gotten himself into. I don't know. It's tough because when you're dealing with someone in the IDD community, you do have to take it from a different angle. That doesn't necessarily excuse what they do, but, you know, that's kind of the angle that I'm taking this from.
And only talk to Grace. What Grace was doing was she was getting me in contact with her management behind Tina's back. Grace got me in contact with everybody. You see what I mean?
based on this drivel alone, you can imagine why his public defender cut contact with him since August.
So Tina wanted me to cut ties with Grace and stop talking to the impersonators and only talk to Grace. What Grace was doing was she was getting me in contact with her management behind Tina's back. Grace got me in contact with everybody.
Even if Grace herself told him she's never spoken to him in his life, he'd find a way to retcon it and convince himself otherwise. I would include more of this particular rant, but it's so schizophrenically meaningless that there's barely anything of value. Basically, Daniel thought that Tina was going to set him up with a $35 million record deal, but his family intervened and said it was fake. I don't know what he means by family, since he has absolutely no family members he's in contact with, so maybe he means Bob. When Sippy manages to get a word in edgewise, he tries to convince Daniel to act sane so that he gets out of jail sooner rather than later. This was Daniel's response.
Nobody's telling me why I'm incompetent. Nobody has been telling me anything. They've been saying that I've been doing things very well and I shouldn't even be in custody. That's the word from the jail.
What Daniel doesn't realize is that everyone's treating him nicely precisely because he's clearly out of his mind, not because they think he's normal. Once again, Sippy tries to set Daniel on a path toward being declared competent, but it fails miserably.
You should probably just not mention Grace or Tina to any of the psychiatrists, because I don't think that's really going to help your case.
I don't think it's helping either.
Yeah.
Like, I asked my lawyer for verification on if it was really the real Tina.
He said no.
And he said...
This whole fucking thing is just a giant mess. Jesus Christ. It's just like, there's lawyers involved, there's several arrests involved. Dude, the Daniel Larson rabbit hole really is... It's something else. I don't envy his position, to be quite honest with you.
No, which is weird because it's confirmed that, yes, it was actually them. I'm not saying that there was a fake involved. I was definitely at one point in contact.
Eventually, after enough tries, Sippy manages to get Daniel to say the real reason he's not willing to do what he's saying and simply stop mentioning Grace to his lawyers.
And I don't want you to sit in Springfield indefinitely. So, you know, there's the old saying, you fake it till you make it. You just got to, you know, realize what makes you sound crazy and not say that and just fake it until you can be found competent and then just, you know, take a plea deal. And you've already sat for a long time. They'll probably just give you time served.
I'm afraid that I'm going to have to plead guilty because the thing is, if I plead guilty, then I don't think I can be with Grace. Grace wants me to travel with her. She goes to London all the time. She goes to Paris. There are certain countries, if I have a felony, I cannot go to.
It's amazing to see that the lies about him going on tour with Grace culminated in him deliberately screwing up his case because he was afraid he wouldn't be able to travel with her. Daniel then explains the legal strategy he intended to follow.
So if you do end up being found competent, you're going to try to go to trial and beat get a not guilty verdict on the allegations?
That's what we're trying, and my lawyer has told me that we're trying to get a not guilty. He thinks I'm a victim. As far as trying to make everything work with the Vanderwalls, that's what I'm concerned about now. Because I told my lawyer I'm not going to plead guilty, and I'm not going to even make a decision until I know what's going on with Grace.
Based on this, I'd say that if he ever does get declared competent to stand trial, he will probably get a worse sentence than if he just pled guilty. Imagine he actually puts himself in a position where, during the proceedings, he needs to explain to the judge he actually is Grace Vanderwall's boyfriend and needs to consult her on his defense. The worst part about this is not that Daniel proceeds to explain to Sippy that he's considering cutting Bob off due to him not being helpful with his career and publicity, and that he's planning to only be in contact with the Vanderwalls from now on. The thing is, for the months he's been in jail now, besides Sippy and Clark, the only person Daniel's spoken to has been Bob. There hasn't been a single troll who has continued to keep up the Grace facade at this point. Daniel is fully communicating with the voices in his head to keep the illusion up. Near the end of the call, he says this.
I also know that most of Grace's songs are about, I've been listening to a lot of her songs.
I think we are nearing the final form of Schizo Daniel, as he barely needs to put in any effort in order to come up with all kinds of insane beliefs. Unlike Clark, who drip-fed the community with nothing burger calls where he made no effort at all to make it entertaining, Sippy was at least trying to get something out of Daniel. And over the course of the next few days, we get a bunch of new calls, each more deranged than the previous.
I just wonder, I question if Sippy is either in it for himself or if he's just doing it just to get information from Daniel. In this case, I'm willing to give Sippy the benefit of the doubt here because I haven't really seen anything of malicious nature from him just yet. It just seems like he's calling Daniel Larson just to put the information out there for people to view at any point. So, I don't know. And this was fairly recent too. It's like fucking November 2024. It's like not that long ago.
Same day as the first Sippy call happened, Daniel comes back to complain about Bob.
So, like, he's manipulating, right, a lot of my finances, which is why I was homeless. He was also trying to control, like, everything I did as far as the type of music I wanted to do, the types of songs that I want to do, but, like, some lyrics he wouldn't want me to put in. All this issue that I'm in is partially because of him. It's been confirmed that I am the victim in the case.
On one hand, Daniel being free again would be very entertaining, but on the other, when you see him talk like that about the only
There's no way he could be free again in any meaningful capacity because it's going to just restart the Daniel Larson cycle all over again, and then he's going to get arrested again. And like I said, he really needs to just be permanently locked up somewhere, just away from society.
Person who has consistently helped him throughout his life, you realize that they just got to put this guy in a padded cell and throw away the key. And more, it seems like that's how it's going to end.
Yeah, they've been trying to say that I'm not in contact, including like law enforcement. Law enforcement, including my lawyer, has been trying to turn me against Grace. And my own public defender is on purpose trying to turn me against Grace and trying to say that I'm not in contact when I've been fighting my case, arguing over the phone with my public defender. Look, I have been in contact and I don't care what you're saying.
Credit where credit is due. It doesn't seem Sippy enables his delusions too much, even if he doesn't press Daniel on it. Instead, he tries to change the topic to Danderson's jail routine, which seems to be very erratic. He apparently spent prolonged periods locked up without yard time, and whenever he did get yard time, it was very inconsistent and unpredictable. And to make matters worse, he got access to a tablet. More specifically, he claims he lied to his family, presumably Bob, in order to get $150 to buy a tablet. While he couldn't post anything from it, I'm sure he was looking at some stuff that, in the classic Daniel Larson lingo, made it sting like he was peeing. I think his...
Oh, God. Okay, I saw what those messages were for a very brief second. I don't want to go back to read them. I don't think I would get any meaningful context from it or anything enlightening, particularly.
Inability to talk to his public defender drove him to start generating his own fan fiction about what was going on with his trial.
So what I do know is Grace ordered the psych eval. So Grace is the one who ordered it. It wasn't the judge. Tina got notified that I got arrested.
But Grace wasn't the most high-profile person getting themselves tangled up with Daniel, as Donald Trump himself was also paying attention.
So what was it that you...
Wait, is that actually, like, real? Like, is Donald Trump actually paying attention to the fucking Daniel Larson thing? That'd actually be so funny if that's the case.
Mailed me about, you said something like Joe Biden wants you to be vice president or so he can
Yeah, so apparently, I'm still learning this, but one of the correction officers came up to me here at the jail and talked to me about how Donald Trump wanted me to be his vice president because if he...
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to say something along the lines of how Donald Trump was paying attention to the story, but it seems like that's just another one of Daniel Larson's things. All right, yeah. Incredible stuff.
I was president and I'm vice president. He can make it legal for me to be vice president at my age.
I don't know why Daniel seems eager to demote himself from his real position of president to become Trump's VP. Must be some kind of strategy I'm not seeing here. Maybe he wants to be the shadow ruler of the land, who knows. Up until this point in the calls, Sippy was pretty straightforward with Daniel, even if he occasionally tried to get a rise out of him and make him say something funny. But over the next few calls, it's clear that Sippy began encouraging and enabling Daniel's delusions, much like Clark did.
Oh no. Oh god, Sippy, I had faith in you. No, Sippy. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. No.
Besides the usual repetitive nonsense, there were a couple of funny moments that came out of it, such as the pivot of Daniel's music career.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but there's these very famous rappers called Chief Keef and Lil Durk, and they just went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they basically said how much they want to collab with you. They want to do a collaboration, like an EP. Chief Keef. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I used to have contact with them.
It really?
So that confirms things even more. That's crazy.
Despite the more lax approach, Sippy still occasionally tried to get Daniel to do what most likely would lead to him getting released earlier rather than later, but with no success.
My public defender told me that I don't have to necessarily get on medication. If I don't want to, there's like other resources and classes I can take that will count towards my court.
Well, yeah, that's probably true, but don't you, if you get on medication, it would probably look better for you to be found competent.
Right. I was actually on medication, on and off, when I was making a lot of the threats. So that was not, like, the medication I was on is a big factor closure on why I made the threat.
Considering he hasn't had any personal belongings besides his phone and clothes since the time he arrived in a caretaker's house, I doubt that at any point during his homelessness he spoke to a psychiatrist, bought pills, and actually took them.
The medication I was on for my blood pressure. It fucked with my head, but I'm over that now. I could probably get a letter from my doctor.
A note from your doctor saying you don't like to suck cock?
What do you think about me changing into a female?
Most likely, he's just lying here, so he can explain why he has no intention of being medicated. The call after this one consists mostly of Sippy terrorizing Daniel over the phone by pretending he's playing a recording of Daniel's trial, only to play audio of an investigator reading the search history of the Parkland shooter, which has things so disgusting that they're not even worth mentioning. Of course,
yeah, you wouldn't need to mention that for this video.
Daniel falls for it and thinks the recording is real, probably because he's made some similarly suspect Google searches in the past.
Oh boy. Alright, there's no way this is gonna end well.
My previous videos on him have gone over. In one of Sippy's bouts of enabling Daniel, he brings Josh Block into the picture, claiming that he's been trying to plagiarize Daniel's music in order to seduce Grace. And
oh my god. God fucking damn it. Man, you guys have to stop trolling him. Like, seriously, you guys really have to stop trolling Daniel. It's insane, bro. Oh my god.
This is how Daniel reacts.
No, this explains everything. Like, I'm a victim of everything. I shouldn't even be in custody altogether. No wonder my mental health was affected. Because I knew something was up when it came to my music stuff.
But as far as memorable and entertaining moments, that'll really be it. After the sequence of Sippy calls, Clark actually managed to get 2 new calls with Daniel, but they were uneventful and are now lost, as the original uploads have been privated. Since I have no intention of coming back to this topic later, during this period, Clark and Sippy began hating each other because both wanted to be the sole emissary of Daniel. Eventually, their conflict boiled over into Sippy apparently sending letters to Clark's address, harassing him and his family, and Clark posting footage of Sippy's...
what is this? Lamau, blank added a Code Blue Cam watermark to my video to try and make it seem like it was posted by the Code Blue Cam YouTube channel, then deleted. He also tried to say that I made threats on 4chan to bomb an elementary school, LMFAO. They're so starved for dirt on me that they've just resorted to making lies up at this point. This body cam is from when I was 17, got into a fight with another kid at a juvenile institution. This is so funny to me. The disinformation psyops have begun. Although it won't take a rocket scientist to get those Reddit tards, his words, not mine, to believe their lies. Yeah, wow, okay. Yeah, so 2 dumb idiots that want to be the center of the Daniel Larson story just infighting. I mean, probably very self-centered people, clearly.
Arrest. This wasn't revealed by Clark, but it had become a point of contention that Sippy had a criminal record prior to his interactions with Daniel. On the 17th of the same month the calls took place, Sippy made an AMA where he spoke about his criminal past because, according to him, he got in a fight with a teenager when he was 17. This got him convicted of misdemeanor battery and disorderly conduct. And although his story mostly seems to check out, it made people a lot more skeptical of him, especially considering that in the same AMA, he said, "I don't idolize mass shooters. I have an interest in history, including true crime history. And occasionally..."
Oh god, he's a true crime dude. True crime, listen. I remember back during COVID specifically. I think this was during COVID, or maybe it was the year before. But during COVID, I had a homie. I used to have a homie who was very much into true crime. That was like his main content. Dude, true crime, not only is it very toxic, but it's also like you have to be fucking careful because a lot of the shit that you would see on true crime, a lot of shit that you read, you can get like a secondhand trauma out of. So you have to like really be careful about how much you consume because secondhand trauma is like a very real thing. So that already lets me into a lot of this guy's probably mental health history. He probably is not very stable, to be honest.
Document that on the internet. The judge thinks I am a threat based on some old accusations from 2017 of school-related threats of violence, similar to the accusations leveled against Blark a decade or so ago, which he, of course, later confessed to, which were never proven against me, coupled with some other circumstances that would take way too long to explain. There are also a few other claims floating around in the Daniel Larson wiki and subreddit that Sippy has tried to alter his page on the wiki in his favor, as well as supposedly having been charged a few more times with unlawful possession of firearms and bail jumping. Regardless of the merit of each of these things, the safest path to take when covering this kind of person is that if you deliberately get involved with lolcows, it's unlikely that you're
fucking discount Post Malone. Look at him.
a normal, well-adjusted person. All that being said, let's get back to the real star of the story, Danderson. Along with the calls, October also saw 2 letters sent from Daniel to Sippy, and although they seem to be legitimate, they were dictated by Daniel to another inmate who actually wrote it down. Like a true king, he has scribes in jail who will write things down for him. I won't bother reading it myself, as in one of the next calls, Sippy does it for us, answering each of Daniel's questions, only for Daniel to question the letter's authorship.
You sent me the one letter that I don't think I got back to you on. It was, can I ask you a few questions? Is the clit the same hole females pee from? No.
Incredible stuff, clearly.
They pee from their urethra. Is a gag reflex...
Oh my fucking god, dude.
Is pre thick and sticky like regular...
Yeah,
Yeah, that was not fully me.
So this Sippy person and this Clark person are not good people. I would argue Clark is a little bit worse than Sippy is, but still, Sippy does not seem to be a good actor in this story either. Yeah. Damn, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, too. That's crazy.
People were sending letters from the jail.
For context, Sippy had promised to mail Daniel pictures of women for his consumption, so to speak. The 2nd October letter is actually an email sent through some kind of jail program, which read, I need to find a way to get my case dropped and prove I'm doing better mentally, but I need to also get security as well. I find it also crazy that Grace is involved, but no charges have been pressed. Also, the FBI lied about Grace being in contact with them, and that they were going to help, but never did. There is so much they said outside of the interview that has been all lies so far. I don't know the truth. All I want is my own house and to be left alone at this point. I only want music on the internet, and I'm angry at my dad for not helping, and Bob for not helping. They are a piece of shit and have destroyed my life. I can't stand the lies anymore, and Bob never got me a manager, an entertainment lawyer for my fame, and for that reason, I ran away from home to Hollywood, California. Screw my entire family, and I want to move to Iran. I want to start my career over. The courts also say I am not famous. Lol, I don't care at this point what happens, because I am the boy who cried wolf anyways. I really like it when Daniel shows us he still has the mind of a 10-year-old. Also, why did he name Iran as the place he wanted to move to, of all places? Did he know something we don't all the way back in 2024? I truly do wonder if there's any way to get Daniel to see reality for what it is, or if he's just stuck in this psychotic delusion for the rest of his life. A few days later, Sippy gets another call, where Daniel...
Damn, he's got the Dr. Disrespect glasses on. Look at him.
feels that Bob has been sending him money in jail. And at this point, I don't know what's more enraging, that Daniel keeps talking down on Bob, or that Bob keeps sending him money in spite of it. Moments later, Daniel complains that he shouldn't even be in custody because he's supposed to get a feature on a Taylor Swift song soon. In this same call, this exchange happens.
Any updates from Grace lately?
I don't have her number. I don't have any of her contacts. Everything is on straight up hold. Like my lawyer, I haven't spoken to my lawyer since I last told you that I did.
I can only imagine why. Despite the lack of contact, Daniel still thinks Grace is looking for houses for them to live together in, which has been his consistent fantasy ever since he became homeless. Immediately after, Daniel reminisces about the good old times when his fans called up the restaurants he was at, claiming he was about to run through naked, which he chalks up to them being jealous of him. Then, he requests that Sippy give him the email, address, and phone number of the CEO of Interscope Records so that he can talk about getting his well-earned music money. That following day, after a long period of silence from Bob, Daniel makes...
Why the fuck was there a CSGO game there? Does CSGO somehow tie into Daniel Larson's lore, or was Turkey Tom just using that as like random B-roll?
An announcement.
I was able to talk to Bob. He is concerned about me possibly getting released. My case dropped or whatever.
I'd be concerned too, with all the times Daniel straight up beat Bob. Unfortunately though, Daniel meant concerned as in he was looking forward to it. Basically, Bob wanted Daniel's case to be dropped, which Daniel was against as he believed that he needed a sentence in order to get assistance with his housing. But just as it sounded like Daniel was headed somewhere rational, he claimed Bob thought he was innocent and was mad at Tina for his arrest, which is certainly a lie. While the Vanderwalls and Columbia Records had it in for him, Danderson's extended universe included plenty of other celebrities who weren't only fine with Daniel, but also actively wanted to work with him.
And that Taylor Swift wants to do, because she wanted me on her Eras tour, and I turned it down because I was homeless.
As it turns out, this entire conversation was just a setup that ultimately led to Daniel trying to talk about his past accusations of being a PDF file, which he...
I mean, he's obviously not a pedophile, just to be clear. Or maybe he is. I don't fucking know, dude. It's hard to say. Like, it's hard to know what goes on in his head, but, like, I don't know. I doubt that... I mean, he's a threat to society, but not necessarily, like, I don't know. He just needs to be locked up, okay? I don't even feel like picking it apart. Like, there's like, levels of nuance to it, but, like, he just needs to be locked up. He's very clearly not someone who can function in society. I wanted to pick it apart, but then I realized maybe it's just not worth it. Maybe it's easier if I just don't put my mind to it at all.
Included with one elaborate lie.
I was in contact with Tina and Grace. I got my number leaked, my phone number. A bunch of underage celebrities started messaging me. So I believe that Clark was trying to do something that they...
Every Minecraft YouTuber's worst nightmare is when underage people message you. Unless you're within a reasonable age range, of course. But aside from that, no. That's every Minecrafter's worst nightmare. Same for Dr. Disrespect, clearly.
He shouldn't have done and tried to get me into legal trouble.
What's funny is that the majority of the accusations took place when Clark wasn't even managing him. As dumb as Daniel's lies are, he is crafty in setting them up in his favor. In another Sippy call from October, he seems to be trying to bait Tina into interacting with him again.
I think me and Tina just got off on the wrong foot, and because I was homeless, I just wasn't thinking straight. I think if she was able to talk to me now, things would be completely different.
Clearly, another intervention from Tina or Grace herself would do nothing to curb his delusions, as Daniel inevitably converts all input from them into reinforcement. This call also has one of the most interesting bits of Daniel's complete lack of self-awareness.
When I was homeless, I mean, being out in like 20-degree weather, of course I'm not going to be doing that great. I mean, my anger overall, I mean, I don't really have anger issues. I can take a lot of stress.
But you don't think that sometimes you get angry and you do stuff without thinking, like make threats or something that you...
No. I made the threats because I was terrified and I was confused on why the record labels weren't paying me. And Bob kept telling me that I was never in contact with the record label, and I was never in contact with Grace. And I was being told that by the FBI, too.
Frankly, I think he's speaking straight up facts here. 20-degree weather would make anyone threaten to bomb every police station in the world. Speaking of the targets...
True. I mean, have you ever been in negative 12-degree weather? Crazy stuff, man. You know, it makes you want to fucking bomb the place and get warmed up.
Of his bomb threats. It didn't even take 1 week after Bob got in contact with him for
It's the most stupidly charitable way you can frame it to Daniel.
Daniel to start complaining about him not sending him money.
Bob was trying to say on the phone that, like, yeah, I have money in my bank account, but I'm still going to need help financially. It's not a lot of money. It's like 1 month of an apartment. When I was traveling across the United States, even though Bob paid for, like, the big airplane tickets, I was paying for the Greyhound tickets, I was paying for food, I was paying for hotels, I was paying the majority.
When he says paying for the majority of it himself, he means he was begging online for people to pay for it for him. Or in the case of his food, he was just straight up stealing it. As he goes on, he claims being in custody.
I mean, yeah, he did dine and dash a lot, so...
He has ruined his income, and that if he were free, he'd be making hundreds of thousands of dollars by now. This call contains possibly one of the most extensive anti-Bob tirades from Daniel.
My life is being destroyed by Bob at this point, and I don't think he realizes it. He was helping me previously, but it's to a point that he's saying things that without enough information and talking to people behind my back like my lawyer. And I would have been doing fine if Bob would have just, you know, got the apartment 1 month. Because when I started going from the street to the hotel to the street to the hotel, my fans were confused. And it's similar to the news. When fans are confused or the world is confused, they don't know what to believe. And right now, Bob is completely destroying that reputation. He's, like I said, he's been...
Bob is the only person that is willing to take care of Daniel Larson, by the way, just for context, in case anyone forgot that.
Paying for the hotel rooms, he's been putting money on my book, now to a point to where he's arguing about the amount that he's putting on my books and saying that, like, he can't do it that much more.
While there definitely were periods where trolls were giving Daniel enough for him to get by, Daniel would probably be dead by now if it weren't for Bob. It goes to show what helping this kind of person gets you. But don't worry, it gets worse.
So, but you're saying you're making money while you're in jail now, right?
Only because of him and my music distribution. If I was out this entire year, I would have made probably, I want to say, 6 to 7 songs by now. In my bank account, I had $100 saved, and I only needed 100 more, and I was averaging 100 in savings a week to be able to get into the recording studio. I would have already had housing by now. With the amount that I would have been making, I've used the calculator in the jail, I've added everything up, the amount Bob was giving me versus what I can make, and then the hotel rooms versus the apartment. The apartment would have been a whole lot cheaper. I want to say that he's a big factor in my fan base falling apart. He was keeping me homeless at the time. And when my fans started seeing me on the street versus the hotel back and forth, I was losing fans. And instead, I was paying for $100 to $200 for a hotel room a day. And an apartment is only $2,000 a month.
You can get cheaper apartments than that, but yeah.
You could get cheaper apartments. So I'm just saying that is extreme manipulation financially.
He keeps talking about having savings, but simultaneously talks about Bob paying for the hotels. What actually happened was Bob couldn't afford an apartment for Daniel, so Bob sent him money for food, which Daniel decided out of his own volition to spend on getting a fancy hotel room for 1 or 2 days, only to go homeless and be without food again right after. Clearly, this was Bob's way of forcing him to be homeless. I think it's around this point that Bob becomes aware of what Daniel has been saying about him on the Sippy calls, because it appears he stopped sending him money.
He told me to stop talking to you about him, and I stopped talking to both you and about him. And then all of a sudden, he just stopped communication.
5 minutes later.
At this point, Bob is holding up my career. He's holding up my life. I'm like a slave to him at this point. I'm a slave to the flippin' jail.
What an evil, heartless man this Bob is. Between his complaints, Daniel mentions that his body is covered in bruises and cuts from being homeless. Bob's fault, of course, and that despite his setbacks, he won't get transferred to a mental health facility, but will be released. Why? Because he has outsmarted the court and will be pressing charges on the US government.
Do we think this might be a bit conspiracy brained, and this might be a huge shot in the dark? But, like, do we think maybe Daniel Larson is projecting previous trauma he's had in his life before when he was, like, with his mother, who I wouldn't doubt was legitimately abusive? I did hear that some people were saying that part actually was legitimately true. Obviously, Bob was not abusive in any capacity, but, like, maybe Daniel Larson was, like, almost projecting that in some way. I don't know. That might be, like, a bit conspiracy brain. I might be reaching with that one, but I feel like it's just worth throwing that out there. Maybe I feel like that could be a possibility.
And Bob.
I'm outsmarting the court, and they're just making me look like a flippin' idiot. And at this
You
point,
definitely are. I think it's obvious that you're smarter than the prosecutor, the judge, and everybody at this point. They're the ones making a fool out of themselves.
So I went ahead and put down the United States, so I can sue them, I can sue the criminal justice system, and I put down as well Bob.
Another week went by, and Bob continued to be missing in action, which made Daniel even more terrified of what would happen next. But this wasn't the only thing putting him on edge.
Yesterday, my $200 tablet that I can only get one a year, and it's the only thing that I have that keeps, me busy in my cell, just broke. So I'm like completely fucked. It's where I can rent movies for my cell. It's It's like literally where most of the action, and well, 99.9% of the action inside the jail is through.
So the reason why he hasn't been going insane during his time in jail is because he's been on a tablet 24/7. And only now that it's gone is he feeling the pangs of being locked up. I guess the purpose of giving inmates tablets and stuff is to keep them peaceful and docile, but honestly, it's almost self-defeating since electronic stimulation is precisely what feeds Daniel's mental problems. I also have to note that the tablet definitely didn't mysteriously break. Daniel probably punched that thing in a fit of rage. For the first time in months of him being in jail, you can actually hear the despair in his voice setting in as he starts coming up with increasingly insane hallucinations.
I still haven't figured out my Colorado State ID that got stolen because the guy who stole it looked just like Jacob Sartorius, the Disney Channel star. Now I don't know who I'm gonna date.
So you think that...
I don't know. I feel like this is just another one of Daniel Larson's. Like I said, I brought this up many times before, but it could just be like another case of someone in the IDD community just saying things just for the sake of saying them. And there's not really any like legitimate reason as to why they could say them. You know, they just do. You know, like I've noticed this a lot, especially in my case when I've hung around people who've had intellectual and developmental disabilities. Like I've seen people kind of say that a lot, or just say things for the sake of saying them, and there's not really any legitimate reason as to why they do. And I feel like this is just another one of those situations.
Might be Jacob Sartorius undercover or in disguise?
Possibly. That's what I believe, and I've been trying to expose him for years because Grace made it clear that she wants to be with me. Even in my legal discovery, I have pictures of Grace that she sent me where it's kind of weird, but she spelled my name on the paper, on top of the picture, like Photoshop, but she put my name in all capitals, Daniel Larson, which means, from a legal perspective, that can stand in court.
So there was an ongoing narrative that Jacob was going to take Grace away, which, of course, deeply angered Daniel. As he was getting spammed with deepfake pictures of buff Jacob Sartorius with Grace, Daniel brought it up to Bob, leading to the creation of another classic phrase.
It's Jacob Sartorius.
Big dick muscle man.
Okay, you just pissed me off.
Well, what else is he?
Big dick muscle man.
This commotion eventually got to the real Jacob, who commented on it in a lighthearted manner and even played into it a bit.
And the person is Daniel Larson.
Daniel, top comment on my
Oh my god, is that Kayla Malik? Holy shit, Kayla Malik is in the Daniel Larson lore? Holy fuck. Pray to God she's not in like any vicinity with him. God bless this girl, by the way. Like, she's went through some really horrific shit. If you saw earlier this year, she went through like a really horrific abuse story. God bless Kayla. She is actually like legitimately very strong. God bless her.
to TikTok.
What was it?
Jacob Sartorius Scott.
Bro, Jacob Sartorius is a name I haven't heard of in fucking forever, man. Like, he was such a thing in 2016 and 2017, and then, like, I just haven't heard of him since. Like, he kind of fell off. But, I don't know. I guess he's doing his thing. He's on his grind. I guess, God bless you, Jacob Sartorius.
Grace Vanderwall, pregnant.
Jacob Sartorius and Grace Vanderwall are on vacation on their honeymoon in Hawaii.
So I guess I went to Hawaii for my honeymoon. I love the story. It was great. The weather was great. Me and Grace were just like spending quality time on the beach.
Oh my.
Oh, that's actually kind of funny. What the fuck? That's so funny.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you know, fun fact, I've never met Grace Vanderwall in my life.
Oh, imagine that collab.
That would be viral. Maybe we have her on the podcast.
Oh my god.
This podcast came out in May of 2025, so
that's insane. That's actually fucking crazy.
There's a real possibility that in the near future, and before Daniel gets released, Grace will actually get on Jacob's podcast. I think it'll be the last straw for Daniel, so every police station in the world better say their prayers. Going back to the call, it took place on Daniel's birthday, which he's not too happy about.
I'm sitting in jail on my birthday. This is now the 15th birthday I've spent behind bars.
I did 20 fucking years.
I hear him saying 15th here, which is impossible, so I'm assuming it's him misspeaking. A day later, we get a new Clark call, where Daniel makes a revelation.
I'm drop an album in January, February, but I'm behind schedule on that. I've told the public defenders I'm behind schedule for the album this year. So I'm already fighting for 2 albums.
It's just more delusions. Damn. I almost feel sorry for Daniel Larson in a lot of ways. I almost feel sorry, but in a lot of cases, he kind of does it to himself, so it's like... It's obviously for the best that he just, like, stays behind bars and stays locked up.
Next year, I've already started that. It sounds like the relationship with Grace is real. But yeah, what? I can't allow that. I'm not gonna fight with you. I'm not. Yeah, I am on the fucking phone. You want me to fight you? Because, like, literally, I'm not gonna have this date. I'm on the phone with somebody. I'm on the phone with somebody. Relax. You're a fucking joke.
You tell him, Daniel. He's a horrible joke. You tell him, Daniel.
You're 12 years old for getting upset at me for being on the phone. What the hell?
It's always impressive to see...
Fuck. You're 12 years old, man. It's the great comeback. Maybe we should start using that more. If someone calls you a child, you're like, you're being a child. Just pull a no you. Only Daniel Larson can pull off a no you effectively.
Mr. President's ability to talk belligerent third parties down like a true peace negotiator. This incident is just one of the many signs that the other inmates were getting absolutely sick of Daniel's behavior in there, which is hardly surprising given he's never lived well among others, as we already know from the time he spent in a foster home. Eventually, this fight was contextualized in another call with Clark.
We went on lockdown, and then he started saying, oh, you know, Grace is not in contact with you. She never will be. Your legal discovery states it. And he said, well, that's not true at all because you don't know the true facts, and my legal discovery is out of date. If she really didn't like me and she didn't want the relationship, she would have pressed charges.
The next few developments don't actually take place in calls, but instead in emails to Sippy, where Daniel says the jail is violating his right to vote, Grace is cheating on him because he's homeless, announces he'll be cutting his ties with Bob, and says that the videos of him making threats and the pictures of children he had on his phone were all planned by him and that he agreed to be in jail because that would somehow help him with Grace. While it hasn't showed up in his charges or his court proceedings officially, if Daniel's case does ever go to trial, I'm sure the pictures he had on his phone would make the jury think twice before being lenient toward him. It seems
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like, there's no way, even if he's like IDD, there's no way that they're gonna let that shit slide.
Daniel was thinking about those incidents since on the next Sippy call, which took place on the 23rd of November, he said that Grace had written one of her songs about it.
She's actually in a couple of her songs mentioning there was a picture of me. Well, I was in the shower, and it got leaked. It's one picture. It was taken behind my back by a person in my disability housing, and I was fully nude. At that point, Grace was underage back then. Because it got leaked to the internet, Grace, around that time, and I were planning on going on tour. We were talking about going on tour. We weren't actually serious or even talking about a relationship.
Again, he's lying, as all the times he got naked online were done of his own volition. He was never recorded against his will or knowledge. Additionally, only one of them that we know of took place in a shower. All the way back in the Flexburger era, for whatever reason, he recorded a video of himself naked in a shower that wasn't even on, and sent it not to a Grace troll, but instead to his actual mother. As far as I know, we only have a screenshot of this incident wherein his mom said, "Danny, why the hell did you give me a video of you naked? That was not cool. I'm disappointed in you. Danny, why did you do that? I'm your mother." To which Daniel replied, "Sorry, that was a hacker. My phone gets hacked every now and then. Just to remind you, I get hacked. I've never seen that photo in my life." Just like he did back then, Daniel continues to take absolutely no accountability for his actions.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like it gets to a point where it's like, yeah, like he's in the IDD community, but it almost gets to a point where he kind of just uses that as an excuse to like keep doing the stuff over and over and over again. It's almost to a point where he's like kind of cognizant of what he's doing. Like, I mean, yeah, people in the IDD community are capable of being assholes just as any regular person can normally. So
instead blames the FBI for framing him.
Somewhere in like the first or second interview I had with the FBI, I was framed to admit to somebody claiming to be Tina. I don't think it was, but it might have been, where I actually admitted that I was.
He's trying to downplay his admission of being a creep to the FBI, but there are multiple publicly accessible instances of him doing just that. As the days went on, and the time for him to get committed to a mental health facility to be evaluated for his competency was coming up, it seems that he became even more desperate and isolated.
Bob is not getting back to me still. My public defender keeps lying to me about Grace. Have you seen the post on social media from Grace directly? It says, "Fuck ass Bob," is what it says. That was really Grace. And the reason why she was saying it was because Bob wasn't getting me housing. She was angry and pissed because I was on the streets getting misdemeanor charges. I have no clue why everybody is denying the relationship with Grace, and Grace is the only one that keeps coming forward time and time after again.
Despite his lack of communication with anyone besides Sippy, he was as ardent as ever about his relationship with Grace, to the point where his public defender was getting frustrated about it and being unable to work with him.
He just started arguing with me on the phone, creating this big fight. I have proof that the relationship's real. He can't call me a liar. And then by him calling me a liar, no wonder I go back in my cell and start punching myself in my face and start, hitting myself until I bleed or something.
Classic Danderson. Now, while the sources of his anxiety so far are all justified, as they all have to do with his legal punishment, things begin to look genuinely bad for him when he mentions his relationship to the other inmates.
Bob has gone completely silent. Won't answer any calls. I'm not getting money on my books. And then also other inmates now are buying me commissary, which I owe them back.
Owing money to people in jail is always bad. But given Daniel has mentioned before that he's in a protective custody place, meaning he's sharing it with criminals who are sex offenders and whatnot, the debt that Dan racks up may be paid back in creative ways. As was expected, probably due to his notoriously obnoxious attitude, the entire jail was turning against Daniel, from fellow inmates to the COs.
The inmates have turned everything into a joke on purpose to try to piss me off. I'm in PC, I'm in protected custody, but general population and certain COs are trying to team up to kill me.
Eventually, he got back word from the investigators, and things were looking far worse for him on that end too.
Yesterday, I got called out by the SIS, which is like the head investigators and I guess the head team of the jail. They said they contacted Grace, and Grace is threatening a restraining order now.
I think on some level, he must be aware he's lying to himself and everyone about this, and consciously decides to keep it up because the alternative is admitting that he's a lunatic. It seems Daniel's insanity wasn't just wearing on the patience of the COs and inmates, but also the people in charge of handling his case, as they were actively threatening to worsen his conditions if he continued to nurture his delusions when talking to people outside.
And then they've also told me to stop contact with everyone, or they will be shutting off the phone. And to me, that's a deliberate threat threat. If I contact anybody, they will throw me in the shoe if I use the phone, which goes against my amendments. They are also saying that Grace is not involved in my case when she is, because she's in my legal discovery. And the reason why I'm thinking that this might be my last call is because the jail staff are threatening to stop all calls from this day forward.
In the same call, he claimed the COs lied to him and said he was getting out, but when he packed up all his belongings to leave, they told him they were just playing with him. During this period, he still had access to screens, and he was going increasingly insane and becoming more self-destructive as a consequence.
Psychiatric here at this jail is telling me that my mental health is doing better, but I'm in my cell every single night punching the living crap out of myself, on purpose beating myself up to where I have cuts and bruises all over my skin and all over my body.
Additionally, the lawsuit papers he had put together to sue Bob and the U.S. government was refused by the jail's mail service, who just handed Daniel's papers back, which he claims is because he couldn't fill them out. Given he has no access to a printer or anything like that to even begin putting together the kind of paperwork you'd need to file a lawsuit, I have no idea what he even tried to mail. For all I know, he was mailing gay furry fan art to Bob or something. When November ended and December began, in a call to Clark, Daniel made a very dark claim.
Turning into definitely me being taken advantage of, and I'm not going to let that slide.
Oh, what the fuck? I'm gonna let the entire thing play, and then I'm gonna give my thoughts on that. What the fuck? Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I knew it was going there, but still, Jesus Christ.
But I reported it.
What would he touch you? What the hell, Daniel?
Well, it was a lot more than just that, but he held me down and went and let me move or whatever and tried to do some stuff, but I reported it.
We should keep in mind.
I mean, is Daniel even telling the truth here? That's like the first question I'm going to ask. Oh my god. I mean, all sorts of things happen in prison. You really never know, but oh my god. I don't even know if like it's so hard to know if Daniel's even telling the truth here because he has like lied so much throughout his time on the internet. So like we don't even know if this claim here is even valid.
That even here, he may be lying for attention, as he has falsely claimed he'd suffered from that kind of thing before. But given that he's in a PC jail with other criminals of that persuasion, and that he was in debt to some of them, it's not impossible. After this call, the communications died down significantly.
It's hard to say. I don't think we'll ever know if that's true or not. I think that's just going to be one of those mysteries that's like going to just be in the air, probably forever.
And for a couple of weeks, there are no new phone calls. There are, however, some emails where Daniel announced he'd been packed up for transfer as he was getting ready to go to a facility in Springfield, Oklahoma. But most importantly, he made an announcement in classic Daniel Larson style. Emergency. The feds are trying to get me to cut ties with my dad and Bob and Tina and Grace. They were now telling me to quit my career, and Bob is a troll as well as my dad. My lawyer told me to stop. I also got on new meds because they came up with an excuse for my Latuda. Also, I guess Tina called the jail and told me to stop calling. Be careful of lies going around that I don't shower, because I shower 2 times a day and brush my teeth 3 times a day. I might get a pardon from Biden or Trump because I am an independent. First off, Latuda is an antipsychotic used to treat schizophrenia and bipolar depression, but I don't know what he means by they came up with an excuse for my Latuda. Secondly, while the fact that it riles him up and makes him crazier is enough of a justification for the jail trying to cut his contact with the outside world off, it makes even more sense if he was actively trying to call Grace and Tina from the jail. Lastly, I am absolutely calling cap on Daniel showering 2 times a week, let alone once a day. A little while after this call, there was another couple of phone calls made to Clark where it's revealed that Bob was still paying for Daniel's phone bill, which I'm assuming means he was sending Daniel money to get some other electronic phone equivalent for his new jail's commissary. A day prior to Christmas, Daniel got transferred to Grady County, and soon after to the Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, where his evaluation would finally begin. There was another Clark call right before he went to the medical center, but it's not worth playing since not much is said, and the audio quality is absolutely terrible. But one of the few noteworthy pieces of info that came out of it was that Daniel was now on a 23-hour lockdown, meaning he only had 1 hour of yard time per day and no access to a phone or even books, meaning he was likely going nuts again because of it. Because his evaluation began, it meant that his case wasn't going to get dismissed anytime soon, as it would keep getting postponed indefinitely until he was declared competent. For many people, this transfer to the MCFP sealed Daniel's fate, as he was probably going to stay there for the rest of his life, as there was no way he was ever going to be deemed competent.
Good. I think that's for the better, honestly. Just at least he is somewhere where someone can watch over him, and that he like gets not only the help that he needs, but that he can never interact with anyone meaningful in society again. Make sure he doesn't have access to any electronics whatsoever, because the internet is very obviously fueling his delusions of like Grace Vanderwall, getting music record label deals, just all these other fucking delusions that just like are so unhealthy for Daniel. Like, please just keep him locked away. Throw away the key as well while you're at it. Actually, fucking melt every single key that could even fit in that keyhole, conceivably.
As the months went by and no more calls came from Daniel to anyone at all, we can safely assume that they just didn't allow for their inmates to take calls, or at the very least, that Daniel in specific lacks that privilege due to how tied the deterioration of his mental state is to contact with the outside world. His court case has been regularly getting updates since then, as the records of it are publicly accessible. However, we can see that many of them have been restricted or classified, again, probably to deter any outsider from knowing too much about the ongoings and intervening somehow. In January, SIPI attempted to legally unseal the records, but the motion was denied, meaning whoever's in charge has been made aware of Daniel's online infamy and the kind of attention that it attracts. As far as communications with the outside world are—
That's probably a good thing. I mean, mean, Sippy and Clark are not exactly very good actors in this story either. They just want to be like, they're just two sides of the same coin. They just do things differently. And I guess Sippy is slightly less bad than Clark was to Daniel, but still, he's not a very good. That's not a very high bar to set.
Concerned. The last one happened through a handwritten letter Daniel wrote to Sippy. This is Daniel. Just to let you know, the jail has blocked all my calls with my lawyer and family. I can send letters. Can you please keep sending me updates? I'm now on medication. Can you please keep sending me pics? Would you also be able to buy 3 books for me to read? On the other side of the letter, Daniel names 3 erotica books he wants Sippy to buy him and promises to pay him back. This is Daniel's seemingly one lifeline with the outside.
There's no way Daniel's gonna keep his end of the deal. There's just no shot he will.
And he uses it to ask for free Zorn books. What an unbreakable specimen.
Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Larson. I am thinking of becoming transgender.
Okay.
Even since this letter, there's no known communication, and although his court proceedings continue getting updated, there's no sign that a conclusion to his case is coming soon. In late April, Clark reappeared in the subreddit, and despite no solid evidence whatsoever, he made the claim that Daniel had been declared competent for trial. But this is quite unlikely since he's still in the same mental health facility, and his stay appears to have been extended. Now, if he does eventually get declared competent to stand trial, and believe me, he might be, he will probably get released on time served due to how long he's been in lockup. In order for him to be declared competent for trial, he doesn't need to necessarily dishevel himself from all his delusions about Grace. He just needs to be able to understand his legal circumstances, and especially now that he's on meds, it's definitely not impossible. On the other hand, he's been there for half a year at this point with no significant updates, so it may well be over for Danderson. After years of being sandblasted by the cold winds of Colorado, he's finally found housing.
I hope it is the latter half, to be honest with you. He needs to stay locked up. And I'm not saying that because I genuinely don't have any ill will towards Daniel Larson. I don't hate him as a person. I really don't think anyone should. It's just that he is very obviously a danger to... He is a danger to society. He needs to stay locked up.
Hospital, no less. Perhaps this is where he belongs.
You're just a young kid. What are you doing here? You ought to be out in a convertible, bird dogging chicks and banging beaver. What are you doing here, for Christ's sake?
Now, what I find suspicious is I've heard rumors that Grace Vanderwall has an OnlyFans account.
Hopefully, they're keeping Daniel away from electronics so he can't drive himself insane again. In the silent hiatus while Daniel's in jail, thousands of people on TikTok have either started actively pretending that Daniel is free while re-uploading older content of his, or have fallen for it.
Naturally, of course.
And unknowingly spread the misinformation that he's been let out. Some people have even catfished and scammed others using Daniel's image. Worse yet is that a few people, whether ironically or not, have become admirers of Daniel, like he's a K-pop artist they stan, praying that he goes free soon. While I fully expected Daniel to become more insane as a consequence of his jail time, I did not expect his followers to also suffer the same fate. If he ever gets mentally...
Honestly, that's kind of true. I mean, K-pop stans are insane in their own right. You know, have you seen the ones on fucking Twitter specifically? I mean, then again, you could say that about anyone on Twitter. If you spend an unhealthy amount of time on Twitter just tweeting over and over and over again, chances are you're probably not mentally well in your own life. I don't know.
Well enough to be released, Bob's the one who's going to need to look for housing. I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
Alright, I think that's the end of the video. Yeah, I mean, pretty good video from Turkey Tom. You know, I have mixed feelings about Turkey Tom, but that was a pretty solid video all around. Hopefully Daniel Larson stays locked up, and wow, what a fucking rabbit hole that was.